classic, drop the classic, thinking back, drop the classic, to establish that the magic, it's automatic, got a mask, who was at it, living legend, lethal weapon, mastermind, never tired, tell them all, I'm sick of your talking, you got the wrong one, I'm taking your king and I leave him broke. If I am in second, it's after no one. Just give me a second to let them know. I'm the headline, the deadline. Big time. I'm ahead time, the rare kind. Big time. I'm a living legend, lethal weapon, mastermind. Big time.
In the shadows of the Golden Gate Bridge, a city that's home to one of the most fearsome islands on Earth, Alcatraz.
This water's dangerous, it's treacherous. The most brutal bike course on the T100 Tour.
This is where legends are made and broken.
This is the best finish we have seen.
Rico Bogan, you're a T100 winner. We have all the ingredients for a truly iconic race. The next chapter starts now.
Good morning from the San Francisco Bay. We are about to enjoy one of the most iconic races in triathlon. 20 of the finest triathletes in the world will soon be diving, jumping, or perhaps something in between into the freezing cold water ahead of 100 kilometers of racing. We've got treacherous currents, one of the toughest bike courses on the calendar, and an 18-kilometer run exposed to the elements. We're just a few minutes away from the start of the Sokin T100 San Francisco. And before we get underway, here's a reminder of what to expect on the T100. There are 20 pros at each race. Athletes can compete in a maximum of 5 races across the year, including the grand final in December. And in the race to Qatar, an athlete's 3 best scores plus the final will count towards their season-long position. It's 35 points for a win, all the way down to 1 point for 20th. Those points are then totted up to crown our next T100 World Champion. And if that wasn't enough, there's a huge $4.2 million on the line. So the sun coming up here in San Francisco, a beautiful day to go racing. But 6 weeks ago, we were in the unrelenting heat of Singapore, a very different challenge for our athletes. Here in Singapore, the setting for what is surely one of the toughest challenges in the sport of triathlon.
Touching around 31 degrees in the water.
It's not the sort of temperature you want to be swimming in competitively. Sam Dickinson leading the athletes out of the swim.
Hayden Wild go past Matthew Hauser here as he charges to the front. This is a sight we're very accustomed to seeing, isn't it? He's got well over 4.5 minutes, nearly 5 minutes now back to Sam Dickinson. This could be one of, if not the largest men's winning gap that we've ever seen. When you're putting that kind of statement down at the first race of the season, what does it mean for the rest of the series?
A 7th T100 win for Hayden Wild. I wonder what the Falcon can do today. Well, alongside me for this one, Olympic and Commonwealth Games medalist and world champion Vicky Holland. And Vicky, even for these experienced athletes, there are surely going to be a few nerves, aren't there, on that boat?
Oh, there's got to be. I mean, it's a very different type of race. They're starting on a boat, diving off into the icy cold waters of the San Francisco Bay. It's just a bit unique, this whole race, and for sure that will bring an added layer of nerves, I'm almost certain.
So what will happen is the athletes one by one will come out, as you can just see. Our first athlete there, that would be Blake Harris, I think. They're going to go in reverse order from where they're ranked in the PTO rankings. They will make their way out onto this sort of sideboard of the San Francisco Spirit, and then in a few moments' time they will dive into that water. Vicky, if I had to put gun to the head, would you dive? Would you jump? How would you approach this part of the race?
I think if I was taking on this absolute bucket list race and I was getting the opportunity to head into those waters, I would be diving. I mean, there is the worry of your goggles for sure, but I would take that chance, I think, and I'd go for the dive.
Well, there you go. You heard it from Vicky.
You can see, yeah, it's quite high.
it's quite high. We've heard athletes speak about how this actually feels even higher than it looks on TV, particularly as the water goes up and down. And yeah, you just this is a time for those nerves that are really going to be right at the forefront here of your mind. As our final athlete, I think, is that Hayden maybe just on the edge? I'm trying to work it out. It's quite difficult to tell with them all being in wetsuits, of course.
They're all hanging on, hoping not to topple in. Here we go.
So away we go here in San Francisco. All of our athletes choosing to dive there off the boat. We're going to begin this race in the shadow of the Golden Gate Bridge and just meters away from that famous Alcatraz prison just behind. And Vicky, what are you expecting from this part of the race? We know this is such a unique part of a triathlon, jumping in off the boat. What are your expectations for the swim?
Well, from the last two editions of this race, we've seen at the Sokin T100 San Francisco that you don't get as much of a split in the swim as we might expect at some of our other races. They are quite heavily current assisted, so that has previously meant that they haven't been able to, the stronger swimmers haven't really been able to break the pack. But we have heard that the current isn't as strong this year as it has been in previous years, and for the first couple of 100 meters they're kind of trying to find that current that will take them into shore really fast. So we've seen it in previous years. They'll be swimming along and then someone will catch the current and they will sort of start flying ahead. Everyone else will move across and catch onto that current as well, and I think that's kind of what we're going to see today. Some of these guys are going to be really trying to find that fast flowing current to make their way to shore with a little bit of extra assistance.
Yeah, it'll be like having a big old bit of wind behind your back, won't it, on the bike or on a run. It will just give you that extra bit of assistance. But interestingly as well, just as a unique point on this race, obviously we're used to our athletes getting the chance for a swim familiarisation. They will go out into the water and they will go and do laps of the course ahead, you know, on the days leading up to it. They haven't had the opportunity to do that. Of course, they've been swimming off the beach, they've been getting in the water, they've been getting familiar with it, but they haven't been able to jump off the boat. So for some of our athletes, I guess, who have done this race before, they'll have a bit of experience, won't they? But for those who haven't, what a challenge, what a unique challenge that they've got.
Yeah, and it's worth saying they can't just go out there and practice this at any old time. There is the real chance that if they get those currents wrong, they will be swept out to sea. So it really is a safety issue. They can only go at certain times. So that's why they don't get a full swim familiarisation in this race. And we saw just a moment ago the graphic come up, the water temperature, 13.5 degrees, very, very cold. Virtually all the athletes will have thermal swim caps on underneath their coloured cap. And with the water temperatures being so cold, they have the option as to whether they wear gloves and booties. Those are normally outlawed, not normally allowed to have those. That green cap there, that is Henry Schumann, one of the absolute best swimmers in triathlon. You can see he's got booties on, whereas the athlete closest to us, I can't tell if those. Actually, no, I think they have got booties on as well. I thought that was bare skin, but I actually now think I've changed my mind there. So about half of the athletes have got booties on, but only 2 choosing to swim with gloves.
Well, there you go. Those are the swim caps and the colours to keep your eye out for. Leo Berger in the red cap, Rico Bogan in the orange, Morgan Pearson blue, Henry Schumann in green, and the unmistakable Hayden Wild in the white cap. Keep an eye on him, and they're going to be sighting. You can just see there in the distance. That is the roof, the domed roof of the Palace of Fine Arts building. That is what they have been advised to sight off, and they will be looking at that, trying to make ssure that that's where they head in. They've got some buoys as well, haven't they, Vicky, on the beach?
That they've got a boat as well. There are a few. We really don't want to lose any of our athletes, I think, is the in a nutshell what we're going for here. So we've given them a little bit of extra safety precautions. There are some boats around them. There's the odd kayak. But you're absolutely right. They are using certain things on shore to sight as well. And there is one turn buoy close to shore that they do have to keep on their left shoulder so that they don't come in too soon and run down the beach. We did see that in year 1. It seemed like a great tactical manoeuvre, but we do want them to swim the full 2 kilometres, so they're not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, we certainly do. And Vicky, just give us a bit of context for how cold this water is. I mean, it's kind of strange, isn't it? We've come from Singapore, certainly in the men's field on the T100, some of the warmest water our athletes will ever swim in, let alone in a race. And then we've come to San Francisco for some of the coldest water. What are the challenges? What happens to your body in water like this?
Well, it's the worst thing, I think, is the actual initial moment that you dive in. That feeling of cold water submersion, it really does take your breath away. And obviously that's not what you want when you're diving in and you're just about to start a T100 with that level of other athletes racing and the speed that you need to try to put down. It's so difficult to do that when you are trying to catch your breath and you're doing these sort of shallow breaths, a bit of hyperventilation almost because it's so cold. So that's what they'll have faced in those first meters. By now, you like to think that they're sort of into their swimming a little bit. They're becoming more accustomed to the temperature around them as we are watching there. I'm not entirely sure who that is leading, but right behind them, that blue cap, that is Morgan Pearson. We're used to seeing him come out right at the front of our races. He's led out several T100 swims before. Very, very classy swimmer. So we'll be seeing him, I'm sure, at the front of the race a lot today. But going back to the temperature in the water, I noticed there was something that Tom Davis is sporting today that is an insert that goes inside your cap, and it's a combination of a cooling pack and a GPS unit. And so it's a safety unit essentially, but it's also for kind of thermoregulation. And you might be thinking, well, why on earth do you want to cool down your head when you're in these cold temperatures? But it is for that exact reason. It's to stop the shock when you dive in. So if your head's already a bit cooler, when you dive in, you won't get that moment of sort of brain freeze when you hit the water. So yeah, maybe we can get a review from Tom after the race on how well it worked.
If he finishes on the podium, Greg Welch can actually ask him in the broadcast. If he doesn't finish on the podium, we'll have to wait a little bit longer. It's an amazing, it actually looks quite shark-like, doesn't it? It's
does.
sort of, you know, it looks very aerodynamic, and he looks quite the swimmer.
Absolutely. I would say, I mean, we've not got images of the whole pack at the moment, but when we have had those overhead shots, it does look like this is splitting a little bit more than we're used to. I mean, they're not by any means getting 1 to 2 minutes on athletes at the moment, but from what we've seen in previous years, they've almost been in one big bunch virtually the entire swim, whereas it looks like we might actually see a little bit of separation here. So could make the swim a little bit more exciting this year in San Francisco.
A more exciting swim in San Francisco? Impossible. Impossible given what's happened over the last few years. This is such a, I mean, we keep saying it's unique, but yeah, certainly in our T100 races, you're not diving off a boat. It's normally off a pontoon. It's maybe a beach start. It's a real opportunity for our athletes to try something a bit different. And actually, I think what's been nice this week, Vicky, is hearing athletes talk about the bucket list nature of what is the Sokin Escape from Alcatraz. You know, this is such an iconic race that's been going for so many years, and whether you're an amateur, whether you're a professional, this is one of those races that actually you do have on your bucket list. You kind of want to be able to say you've raced in San Francisco, you've escaped from Alcatraz.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And it's a race that, you know, it just never really fitted in my schedule, but I would have loved to do it. You know, we've got here the Sokin T100 San Francisco, but of course there is the more age group participation event, the Sokin Escape from Alcatraz, which is happening this weekend as well. And that is probably the more well-known race, the course, the specifics to that, running on the sand ladder, all of that. And that was a race I always wished that I could kind of fit into my schedule, but with it being this time of year, it kind of never worked with where I was in the world. I was often in Europe building up to the main bulk of the short course season, so it was just one I never quite got done, but it is something that I would have absolutely loved the opportunity to get into those freezing cold waters and swim away from Alcatraz.
What was the coldest water you ever swum in?
I think we actually did go colder than this in Cape Town. I think we went to about 11 degrees, maybe even a little bit colder than that in Cape Town. We had a shortened swim there a couple of years in a row, so it was, and that was very contrasting because the air temperature was about 28 degrees, so very, very strange conditions there.
Lovely. Okay, well, let's get some thoughts, shall we, of some of our athletes. Let's start with Morgan Pearson, who was chatting to us earlier in the week.
Morgan Pearson coming down the finish chute in 7th place. A great run from him.
Us Americans are fast learners.
Morgan Pearson is also no rookie. He's prepared incredibly well, and And like always, sometimes you just need a bit of luck for it all to come together.
This move is going to put him from 6th, potentially all the way up into 2nd position. Well, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He really does have the run power to challenge Hayden.
I've been training like a monster for this race. I think it showed today.
Yeah, really interesting season for Morgan Pearson last year on the T100. I mean, kind of a bit like we had with Georgia Taylor-Brown a few weeks ago. You kind of look at their season, Vicky, and you go, right, okay, they're trending, they're going in the right direction. And then obviously Morgan got that win in Dubai, was able to finish 2nd in Qatar. I guess Dubai had sort of a few mitigating circumstances around it, but the 2nd place in Qatar, he absolutely bossed that final section, particularly the run, which obviously we know he's so strong on.
Yeah, he really did do in a very similar manner to Georgia Taylor-Brown, progressed through the year, and I know that he felt that coming here was his opener last year, and it sort of took him by surprise a little bit, and then race on race he kind of found his groove with it. And I think going into this year he feels like he's ready to sort of make a mark. I know he had a change in run coach quite late last year, and so that's something that he feels has really started to help him. He felt that run was coming back to him a little bit. He didn't feel like he was at his best throughout the season, but then late into the autumn and those races in the Middle East for the race to Qatar at the end of 2025, he started to find his form a little bit. So maybe that's the sort of version of Morgan Pearson we're going to see out here today.
I'm excited to see what happens when Morgan Pearson leaves the water, because if you cast your mind back to last year, he was rapid through the, whatever it is, 700-metre run that our athletes have to do from exiting the water all the way to the first transition zone. And he basically, I mean, you know, he doesn't need shoes. He just looked equally as fast running barefoot along that surface.
Was he not one of the ones who put shoes on? I can't remember now. I feel like there was one or two.
Yeah, there were one or two, yeah.
Because they get the option, don't they,
Yes.
to stop and put shoes on. So again, a totally unique element to this race, because the transition area is so long, that 700-metre run, and there's a lot of gravel under their feet when they run. They have the option to put shoes on at swim exit and run in shoes all the way through. And I'm just trying to cast my mind back and remember whether Morgan was one of the ones who did that.
I don't think
because he was fast.
He was fast.
He definitely got to his bike first last year, didn't he?
And interestingly, he's been speaking as well this week about saying, you know, basically he started the bike leg, you know, so far in the lead, and then by the end of the first lap he was already in 16th or 17th place, and that was a bit of a schooling, I think, for the TT bike, and getting used to this distance, the 100-kilometre distance. Obviously a very, very accomplished short course athlete, a multiple Olympic medalist, but the 100k distance, a whole other beast entirely. And it's a learning process, I think, isn't it? We've seen that with quite a few of our short course athletes.
Yeah, definitely. And there are some who've come in and immediately had great success. Of course, Hayden's been phenomenal when he's come across to race this series. Kate Woff was sensational in her debut back in Singapore of 2025. When Taylor Knibb first took to the T100, again, fantastic results from her. But then there are a lot of others who just seem to need to find their feet a little bit, try and figure it out, learning the bike, especially, as you said, spending time in TT position. I think nutritionally, that's something that a lot of them have struggled to nail, because it's so different to what you have to do in short course racing. So there are definitely elements that have taken some of them a little bit longer to really hone in on. So our attention then just at the front of this race, and that is Morgan Pearson there in that blue cap, as we've mentioned. He is currently sitting in 3rd spot. He's one of the only ones who's still got any of his coloured cap on, if you see what I mean. The others, you can see
Is that Leo Berger there in 2nd?
Is that
red?
Well,
is that a red cap?
Yeah.
Just against the sunlight, it's quite difficult to tell.
I think it's a black cap with red writing on, so I suspect it is an underneath hat with the top one might have come off.
Yeah. Just making it quite difficult for us, aren't they, in this water?
A bunch of seals in there right now.
Yeah.
Just a lot of wetsuits, a lot of black hats, a lot of neoprene going on, and not much coloured cap. Not many coloured caps, I should say, to assist us with this. No suits to help us pick them out. So how good is your ability to pick up on strokes and what people's particular strokes look like? Yeah, I'm looking as well, trying to work out. I think I can see black and red, so I can't work out if it's the red hat slipping off the top or if it's a different hat altogether.
They don't have long left though, just over 500 metres to go until they are able to exit the water and will get onto the bike. And part of the challenge really of that part of this race is keeping warm, because this, as we've mentioned numerous times now already, it's cold water and it's really early in the morning here in San Francisco. It's just coming up to 10 to 7. And with that in mind, you know, you can imagine just getting out of cold water after doing your morning dip and then having to get straight on the bike and the wind chill. It's going to take a fair bit of effort for these athletes to warm up. We heard Kate Woff say last year she was really cold as she came out the water.
Really suffered, didn't she?
Really suffered in it. Sounded like it really affected her race. She found herself, to quote her, sort of in no man's land throughout that section on the bike, and was able to obviously get on the podium in the end. But yeah, as the race has only just begun, I think it's fair to say, Vicky.
Oh, very much so. And I'm just trying to count the bodies in that. I think there's about 10. So that does mean it has pretty much split in half, which we haven't seen in any of the other editions of T100 San Francisco. Often we instead see, as we've said, like pretty much everyone coming out quite close. I wouldn't expect the gaps to be anywhere near as big as we've seen in other races because of this super fast current assisted swim that we have here. But there is a break nonetheless. There is a bit of a gap nonetheless, so they will be able to put some pressure on some of those athletes a little bit further back.
So maybe then the stronger swimmers have a tiny advantage. I mean, historically they've not been. If you're a strong swimmer on doing this race, you struggle to make the most of your strong swimming advantage, unlike other courses. Whereas maybe if you have been able to get to the front, is that fair to say you're able to put a bit of daylight between you and perhaps a stronger cyclist at the back of this swim?
Well, it just helps as well getting out onto the bike, because when you've got 20 going out together or very close together, they've all got to be 20 meters apart. That's a huge gap from front to back, and it can just make it really congested in those first meters on the bike. It's really easy to get yourself into trouble, to either find yourself drifting into a draft zone and having to go around a whole pack, which is a huge effort, or face the risk of getting a penalty. So no one really wants that early on in the race. You don't want that stress when you're just getting out onto the bike and you're trying to get into your rhythm. So instead, being in a slightly smaller pack as they head out onto the bike will be very beneficial, I'm sure, for those athletes.
Yeah, you don't want to be picking up a drafting penalty so early on in the race. But that is the front pack just going round the final buoy out in the water, and that is what they're aiming for. We had a good shot just on the side where we saw them approaching the beach, and basically as soon as they can touch dry land, they're welcome to get on the beach. Maybe some of them are going in pretty hard, aren't they, towards the beach, seeing a real different tactic here.
The different angles that they're taking there. So the athlete far on the left there has decided to go into shore directly, as straight an angle as they can from that final turn buoy, because it means that they will hit shore a little bit earlier and they will be able to run on the beach, which is faster than swimming. So we're about to find out whether it pays off.
So there we go. First athlete is on the beach. So we've got 3 athletes on the beach, 4, 5, 6, starting to make their way onto dry land. We will start to find out exactly who is where as they go through their first timing chip. That's obviously Morgan Pearson in the blue cap straight away. And they'll start to come up on the left-hand side of your screen. But this is tricky, isn't it, Vicky? You've got cold hands and you're trying to get your wetsuit off, knowing full well that you've got a big run ahead of you. Yeah,
it'd be so difficult. And as we said earlier, only 2 of them chose to wear gloves in the swim. And it's difficult because it alters how you feel in the water. Literally, your grasp of the water is different if you've got gloves on. But it's so difficult to actually feel what you're doing, to get your Velcro undone, to pull the zip down if you've got really bitterly cold hands. But right now, that is Morgan Pearson showing no signs of trouble as he's got his suit down halfway already, not choosing to wear shoes. So we not got confirmed yet whether he was wearing them last year or not, but he certainly isn't right now, and he is running away from everyone as he runs through transition right now.
Absolutely rocketing through is Morgan Pearson. That's 700 metres that he's got to run now to that first transition zone. And we can potentially have a look through some of those. Well, we're just waiting for our first timings, actually, from them to come out the water. So as soon as we get those, we will update you. But I sort of alluded to it earlier. Morgan Pearson absolutely rapid with running shoes, but also
right.
I think most people would be pretty happy if they could run as fast as Morgan Pearson without running shoes.
It's absolutely right. And looking further back on that long shot we just had, you could see it was Rico Bogan, who was the only athlete I could still had his wetsuit all the way done up. He's the only one. There you go. You can see he's got the orange cap on. He's the only one still wearing his wetsuit. He's got booties on his feet, so there was absolutely no need for him to stop and put shoes on. And then behind him, that's Lassie Priester, one of our wild card athletes as well. Who else have we got? The Henry Rappo, I think, in the pink. Jason West just at the back of that pack, along with Jacob Birtwistle right there. Henry Schoomans in the pack. And then there's a little bit of a gap back, but crucially there to Hayden Wild. That is Hayden Wild in the green. So he's not had the best swim, but we know that Hayden Wild's health has been a little bit off this last week. About 10 days ago, he said he was feeling in amazing shape, and then he came down with some nasty virus, put him out of the short course race in Alghero, and was really 50-50 whether he was even coming today. There you go, a little bit of a G up of the crowd from Morgan Pearson, saying, come on guys, we're here putting on a show, give us some support.
Yeah, home favourite of course as well, Morgan Pearson in front of his home fans. So he's putting his helmet on. Nice quick transition this from Morgan Pearson. I don't know who that was just behind who thought he was going to take a shortcut.
Yeah,
quickly realised you can't do that.
Well, there was a couple who did that. They came round a bit hot into that corner, didn't they, and realised they had to sort of get themselves back onto the other side of the cones pronto.
So that's last year's champion, Rico Bogan, also just trying to get out of his wetsuit. Obviously fantastic biker, made absolute mincemeat of this bike course last year, and it will be fascinating to see what he can do on the bike leg. But slowly but surely our athletes are getting their way onto the bike course. That's Jason West just stomping out of his wetsuit. I just saw Hayden Wild as well behind him in the green. He will be getting out on the bike as soon as possible, but for the time being we've got Morgan Pearson out at the front on the bike, and this happened last year, and we heard what happened last year just in terms of
Hayden can't get out of his wetsuit.
Goodness me, you've got cold hands, haven't you, Vicky?
This is cold
so
hands,
tough.
Yeah, it's awful. Cold hands, cold feet. You can't really feel what you're doing. I mean, there is so much this race to go, but this is absolutely not the start that we would have expected and that Hayden would have hoped for. But it's so difficult. I've had it myself. I get Raynaud's with my hands and feet, so when it's been particularly cold swims, I really struggle to actually feel what I'm doing. But that was a very swift mount by Hayden there, making up for some lost time. Yeah,
slowest transition Hayden Wild you'll see Hayden Wild do probably all year.
Probably ever, yeah.
Our short course athletes, obviously, you know, that is their bread and butter. Quick transitions in Olympic distance and sprint distance, so critical for your race. You don't want to be losing seconds there. And we'll I'm sure no doubt see plenty more of Hayden Wild as he makes his way, I'm sure, to the front of this race, if previous form is anything to go by. But let's have a look. There you go. Confirmation of the current order from the start of the bike. And Morgan Pearson out in front, Yannick Schauffele, Rico Bogan and Priester there out in for 3 Germans in a row. Look at that. Henry Rappo, Jason West, Leo Berger as well, all within around 30 seconds of the lead.
Yeah, so it seemed like that front group was actually 9 people, and that distance is that sort of 38 seconds is front to back of that front pack. A little bit more stretched out, obviously, as they ran up through transition. That gap got a little bit bigger. And worth noting that Morgan was the athlete who led, and he went that really direct route to shore, so sort of cut a right angle at that final buoy and ran down the beach, and it did pay off, because it was like, well, is he going to come out in front of the ones who've come diagonally at the beach? And he did, and it was absolutely worth it for him. 14 seconds ahead as well is it's a decent gap at just obviously a very early point in the race, but to have put that time in basically just through transition in the first kilometre of the bike, that's nothing to shirk off.
Well, it's racing smart as well, isn't it? It's using, you know, it's one thing to be able to swim very quickly, and it's another thing to be able to actually use a bit of brain in that sense, isn't it? And race
Definitely
cleverly, and use a bit of racecraft, and think, what is the quickest way that I'm going to be able to complete this course? And yeah, taking the direct route in there. I think he was by himself, wasn't he? I think everyone else chose to stick with the more direct route in the water. But that's our first look, Vicky, at the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, there it
in the
is.
background.
Finally, a few and breathe.
We're going to see plenty more of that. We've some years we've had it quite foggy here and not been able to see the Golden Gate Bridge till much later in the race. So really good to see it at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a contrasting conditions in San Francisco. You either get these glorious sunny days, crystal blue skies where you can see the beauty of the Golden Gate Bridge and all the way across the Bay Area, and then there are days where the fog is so intense you can't see anything. And I think it was the first year that we were here where we really couldn't see very much of it at all. It ruined all our photographs, I have to say. We didn't get anywhere near as many good photographs as we might sometimes have.
So that is Rico Bogan, just caught right up to Morgan Pearson there. So that's interesting. In fact, all of them seem to be coming thick and fast there for Morgan Pearson.
And that is Lassie Priester there, just coming up on the side of him, I think.
Gotta be careful.
I think he was going to go for the overtake, but Rico didn't realise he was there. So a little bit of communication between those guys, and I'm sure they will sort themselves out now as the road opens up.
Yeah.
It's a slightly wider section.
Yannick Schauffler as well, just on the end. But yes, across the season, all of our athletes are going to be competing in the race to Qatar. All right, so little look here as they go up the hill. We've got over 1,000 meters of elevation on this bike course across the 6 laps.
And you can see Rico looks like he's going straight away. He's
Yeah.
absolutely pumping up and down on those pedals, pulling on the handlebars. You can see he's working hard. And I think he's starting to put a little bit of distance in straight away. And these guys will be following that because he got away last year. They let him go. I say they let him go. He rode an average of 374 watts for the bike ride, which was absolutely insane. But I do think that there's some of the guys last year, they were taken by surprise a little bit by just how much time he had when they got into T2 and realised he was 2.5 minutes up the road. And I think because of that, Rico will be a little bit marked this year. Now, it's one thing saying that and another thing being able to do anything about it, because Rico is an utterly exceptional cyclist, but they will definitely be keeping eyes on him, that is for sure.
Yeah, and there's a good group here. If they can stick together and work together, they have a good chance of sticking with Rico Bogan. But of course, like you say, Vicky, they will have known what Rico did last year. They will have seen his numbers. We all became quite aware, didn't we?
We
of the
did.
numbers that Rico posted on this bike course in 2025. So they know the job at hand. But I guess if you're Rico as well, though, you know how good you are on this course. You've got so much confidence, haven't you? And I guess though the only sort of mitigating factor to that is it was a different time. You know, it was a whole year ago, and obviously fitness levels and everything can change so significantly at that point. And that is Hayden Wild. So good look at him, and it'll be very, very interesting to see how quickly he can catch up to Rico Bogan at the front of this race. Currently, the gap 46 seconds at the last count. That is how far back Hayden Wild currently is from the lead of this race.
So he's already taken out 15 seconds then. So he's currently fastest mover out on course, which is not really that surprising, I guess, when we know what Hayden Wild can and does do on a regular basis. But there is just this question mark over his health. Like I said, he had to withdraw from a race in Sardinia just last weekend. Flew over to San Francisco, not really knowing really whether he was going to take to the start line or not, and he's decided he is healthy enough to do so. But yeah, what will we find from Hayden today? Has he got his usual sparkle? Can he win it at a canter? Can he be fallible? What will happen? We're not entirely sure, but he is making his way to the front of the race at the moment.
Yeah, we're so used to seeing, aren't we, with Hayden, just this sort of imperious, unbreakable athlete. The only chink in his armour was that 8th in Dubai last year, with obviously the mitigating circumstances of the laps. And you know, I think whenever, I imagine if you're another athlete and you see Hayden Wild's name on the start list, you do roll your eyes and go, oh my goodness me, how on earth are we gonna get up to that level? But equally, you know, it's raised the level of the sport, hasn't it? And it's made other athletes work towards those numbers, work towards what Hayden's been able to do and prove you can do on the T100.
Well, that's it. When someone else does it, you start to believe that you can do it yourself. And I'm sure many of the athletes have improved because they've been using him as a target. On screen right now, I think that's Lassie Priester that we've got. So he's on his debut here in the T100. He has transitioned across really to middle distance racing just over the last year. Still doing a bit of short course racing as well, but is another athlete that's come from that World Short Course Series, raced in that series over many years. Oh, just found himself on the wrong side of the road, wrong side of the cones there, but corrected himself. Perhaps took that a little bit too hot. Really interesting athlete, Lassie's had some heart problems over the last couple of years. Back in sort of this time of year, 2 years ago, 2024, started just to struggle a bit in his racing. He was at the time chasing points around the world, trying to get that third slot for the Olympics for Germany, and just started to feel a bit rubbish in his racing. So got home, got himself checked out, and they basically discovered he had quite a nasty heart problem at the time. And so he's been checked out. He's been very, very carefully monitored as he's made his return into racing, and he's made the point that he has been very explicitly told by the doctors that he's at no further risk of repeat problems with his heart, no more so than any general member of the public, and he isn't an example to look up to in that way. But while he has been told that he can race, he's going to take every opportunity to do so and just enjoy the moment of being out there.
Yeah, fantastic runner as well, so keep your eye on him. So that is Hayden Wild just going out. I think he's just overtaken someone. We'll work out exactly who that is, but let's hear from Hayden, shall we, on why this course ominously does in fact suit him very well.
So to come here and be able to race it this year it's a cool opportunity, and in reality it's a very good course for me. It's a relatively quick swim with the currents of with the Alcatraz River, well, sea, I presume, and then the hills. Yeah, it's like a pretty punchy course and really suits how I ride aggressively. And then the run is, I actually really enjoy running quite fast and hard on gravel surfaces. So yeah, for me it's kind of like the perfect race in course-wise. So yeah, just hopefully I can get out there, and I think for me it's going to be a bit more of a conservative race for me, and just be smart out there and not go out there and push hard off the front. I think it's just going to be a smart race and do what I can to take the win.
Yeah, he's been saying all week he's hoping to pull something out the bag, and just hearing him speaking there, I've heard him speak earlier in the week as well, his voice wasn't, he's still got a bit of a sore throat, he still really sounds croaky.
Yeah, he does.
Doesn't sound 100% healthy, and this is a field and a race that you wouldn't even want to be 90% healthy. You need to be 100% fit if you're going to be competing here. Yeah,
you do. And he said that the previous week he was, or for most part of the week, he was really struggling with sort of a bit of fever, getting a lot of night sweats, and then he's been left, of course, with this really croaky throat. So he's definitely not been at his best, really, really struggling, and I think felt it was a really big blow as well. He felt really ready to take on that short course race in Alghero last weekend, and then wanted to come here and really attack this course that he feels is perfectly suited to him. As he just said there, he loves the punchy nature on the bike, he loves the gravel running, all of these things he felt were set up really for him to have one of his best ever days, and then to come here slightly under the weather, not quite at his best. I mean, we hope it still makes for an exciting race, and we hope we still see him at the finish line, but it's never ideal to take on this level of race, this distance of racing at this intensity when you're not at your best.
When do you think he'll realise? Do you think he will have known on the boat that he's feeling good, or do you think it might be when he starts to put some power down in this part of the race perhaps, or even on the run, if you were to guess?
Well, I think I can already tell he's probably not at his absolute best, because I genuinely think he would have come out with that front pack were he at his best. We've seen him time and time again in the T100 come out with either zero deficit to the front or just a handful of seconds, and he was a minute down, which is unlike Hayden. I think the bike probably offers the best opportunity for him to just like find a bit of rhythm. It might be not quite the power numbers he's used to pushing, but I think he'll find a little bit of a rhythm. And he actually said that to me. He said, oh, I'm going to just try and hope that I can work into it on the bike and that things start to come around and I feel good. He said he can still feel a bit of sort of mucus on his chest and hope that that just kind of clears as his body warms up. And that's really hard to do in that water, of course, with it being so cold. So now he'll hopefully work into it and have a bit of a chance.
I just think if you're a doctor and you know, you go up to the doctor as an athlete, say, yes, so I want to get in 13-degree water. I then want to exert myself for another 3.5 hours on top of that. They probably would say, no, try and get better first. Otherwise you might put yourself back. But these are superhuman athletes. The likes of Hayden Wilde is just operating at such a level, and obviously as a professional athlete, you know, has access to recovery and the ability to really take this very, very seriously. So if anyone can do it, Hayden can do it. But yeah, we'll watch very keenly, won't we, exactly how he gets on this bike course.
For sure. We're back with Lassie Priester now again. It's his debut T100. I know he's really excited to get onto the T100 circuit, wants to stay on it all season. That's his goal, is to start racing to the level that means that he'll get repeat invites, he'll get starts back on this series. So that's what he's really trying to do. And he's keeping Rico Bogan there in sight, isn't he? You can see Rico sort of dancing on the pedals in the blue suit in front of him. And there we go, Hayden Wilde just overtaking Jason West. So slowly but surely moving his way through. That puts him up into 8th place. So he's already taken 2 scalps on his way through the field. And you still wouldn't bet against him, even not quite Wild. You wouldn't bet against Hayden getting there up to the front, would you?
Yeah, it's a replay there of that overtake on Jason West. And you can see there the Race Ranger flashing red. He's got 45 seconds to make the pass. Has to get that done to avoid a drafting penalty. And likewise, Jason West will have to drop back beyond flashing red. But I guess when you've got the sort of power that Hayden's got, you can start overtaking people on a hill like this. Most other athletes might not choose to do it on a hill, but Hayden really putting the power down now. And I think that's Yannick Schauffele there.
It is. He's making it a bit hard for him to go past, isn't he? There we go. But as soon as Hayden's wheel gets a nudge in front of Yannick Schauffele's, it's now on him to
It's
drop
a drag
back.
Race, isn't it,
Yeah.
Vicky, up the hill?
As soon as you touch your wheel in front, then it's you're in front, and now it is Yannick Schauffele's duty to drop back a little bit and to allow that 20-meter draft zone to open up. But definitely made it a little bit hard for him, didn't he? Didn't just let him go by, made him work for it. But, you know, Hayden, he's spoken before about how he loves this style of course, the punchy nature of the hills. But coming from short course, again, I think that is an advantage because that is a lot more alike what we do in short course racing. You have to be able to put in big surges, big power surges. And so just having to do that on a hill, that's not such a big deal for someone like Hayden. That's just, okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of a surge in for 20 seconds and it'll probably take less out of him than it might do for someone who is purely training for middle distance racing, where the power files tend to be a bit more consistent.
And we're not used to seeing Hayden Wilde not at the top of the fastest average bike speed graphics, are we? We're normally used to seeing him right at the front, and that perhaps just goes to show maybe just how well Rico Bogan and Lassie Nygaard-Priester are riding, but also maybe we are seeing a Hayden that's just going a little bit more conservative, certainly for this part of the race, and will perhaps feel his way in going forward. So good look here at the descent. They'll do 6 laps of this course.
And Hayden's just basically eaten up 2 more competitors on that downhill section. A little bit of air over that speed bump. That's the same section we saw last year. Some good photos off that, actually, when they sort of get that little bit of air over that speed bump. But yeah, Hayden took that descent so fast that he actually caught 2 more competitors, which just it's free speed, really, that, isn't it? He didn't have to work for that. There was no power output. He just took the corners well. He was very tucked in, flew round, and made up 2 more places.
Yeah. So that is Rico Bogan at the front of this race, as he has been pretty much for most of the bike leg so far. We're about 10 kilometres in. And a nice tight pack at the front, isn't that, Vicky? 10 athletes all within a minute, basically, of the lead.
Yeah.
So it's pretty tight so far.
Yeah, definitely. So Rico's now back on, this is Marina Boulevard, so back towards the swim and the transition and finish area, and he'll perform a U-turn at the end of this road and head out onto lap 2. So whenever you come back, it's pretty much the only flat, straight section on the course. So whenever they're riding in a straight line and there's no hills, you know that they are near the start-finish of each lap. The rest of the course is really a sharp, steep climb, a descent, a U-turn at the bottom, and then back up and down again. It really is a meaty bike course, very punchy, and then just this couple of kilometres on the flat as they get towards the end of each lap.
Yeah, good to see so many people out as well supporting. I imagine a lot of those people there will be taking part in the Sokin Escape from Alcatraz, which is happening tomorrow morning here in San Francisco.
Bearing in mind it's only just gone 7 a.m. as
yeah,
well.
It's good, isn't it?
Pretty good support for an early morning on a Saturday in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, when you've got such a historic race in your city, I imagine triathlon is kind of part of the fabric here of sports. And you can see, a few more fans there as they're sort of past this fan village, which is of course going to be filled to the brim later on and indeed tomorrow as well.
Right, here we go. So he's just coming in now to the end of lap 1. He'll go round these cones.
It's tight, isn't it? Wow.
It's not a huge amount of room, no. Easy for someone like Rico though. Off he goes. Yeah, Lassie Priester still hanging in there. He's the only one who's staying really close to Rico Bogan at the moment, and they've got a pretty decent gap there, about 27 seconds between Rico in first and Morgan Pearson in third. So far, only Lassie Priester has decided that he's going to take on the challenge of Rico Bogan.
Yeah, they will have got pretty familiar with each other. They raced an event in the south of France not too long ago, just a few weeks ago. Rico finishing second there, and Lassie also finishing on the podium. He finished third, so they'll be familiar with each other. And actually, interestingly, I guess for Lassie, who's making his T100 debut in this race, bit of a marker, right? From he will have been able to compare himself against Rico in another race. Obviously, this is a different race, but just a bit of an opportunity to work out where he stacks up against some of the best in the world at this distance.
But it's a very different, or rather it looks at the moment a very different way of coming in close to Rico, if that makes sense. So they finished second and third, as you said, in that race a couple of weeks ago. But in that race, Rico was quite a long way in front of Lassie off the bike, and Lassie ran a phenomenally fast time to get really close on the run. Right now, they're riding together, so that begs the question to me, is Lassie Priester really going all in on the bike here? Is he sort of, I'm here to make a statement, and I'm going to give everything on the bike no matter what it does to my run legs? Or are we just seeing a rapid improvement from this athlete who, as I said, has come back from this potentially life-changing heart problem that then has been resolved, and he is now back to really good health and racing freely and happily and just taking each race as it comes, because he's sort of got this new perspective of that he's got an opportunity to race and he didn't know whether he'd ever get that again? Or are we seeing someone whose improvement race on race is just meteoric at the moment? Or are we seeing a suicide mission? It could be any of the above, right?
Well, he's almost Rico Boganing Rico Bogan, because we've been so used to seeing with Rico over the years him absolutely bossing the bike, often coming out, right at the very front of that. But then, unfortunately for him, blowing up on the run, not having the run legs to match what he's done on the bike, and burning his matches too early in the race. And actually, if you cast your mind back to San Francisco this time last year, this was the race, wasn't it, where he obviously took the victory, but we finally went, yes, Rico, I think you've maybe just been able to work out the magic ingredient in order to help you, be able to run so well off the bike. And obviously the rest of the season for Rico didn't quite go as well as that win in San Francisco, but you never know what sort of form he's going to be coming back to San Francisco in this year. As we look at Hayden Wild right behind the athlete just in front of him, and we'll be able to work out who he's got next in his sights. Can't quite see who that is just yet, but he's making the pass.
We have a bronze
I think that is Morgan Pearson there. So Hayden Wild just overtaken Morgan Pearson now.
Lovely stuff. All right, well, across the season, all our athletes are taking part in the race to Qatar.
History waits at the finish line. There's everything to play for.
Yeah, points awarded, of course, all throughout the races this season, totted up at the end of the year. And that will be how we crown our eventual T100 World Champion. They will be the leader in the race to Qatar. So just coming up to 7:20 here in San Francisco, an absolutely stunning morning here. The wind at the moment is actually okay. It's due to pick up a little bit later on this afternoon, but that should be after our athletes are off the course, and they'll be relieved at that because the winds look pretty brutal, as they sometimes can be in this part of the world. But what a clear day, what a beautiful day to go racing, Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, when you're racing in this part of the world at this time of year, you just kind of know it could be anything. You hope that you're going to get these beautiful clear days, but you might be riding your bike up into the fog, not being able to see anything. We've been here before. I don't think we've had rain on race day, but I've definitely had rain in San Francisco while we've been here for the race before. So, you know, you can hope that you're going to get a clear blue sky day. But yeah, the fact that they've got one is just lovely. And they probably aren't taking the time to take in those views, but they are pretty stunning, aren't they?
Did you ever in your career just take in a view? Maybe when you were at the front of a race.
I don't think so. The closest would probably be in the swim, where I remember watching the tropical fish in a race once.
Oh, wow.
Which I probably shouldn't have been doing even. shouldn't have been doing that either, but it's a bit easy when you don't have to concentrate on steering your bike and making sure that you're in the right position in the pack and all that kind of thing. A little bit easier when you're in the water.
We'll have to ask our athletes if they saw any marine life in the water.
Hopefully not.
From the bay, yeah.
Because I'm not sure it's the marine life they would like to, with the knowledge that we do have sharks in and around the area.
They all
made it out.
They're
all
out of the water.
Exactly.
There you go.
They're all fine.
All right, back at the front here with Rico Bogan on his second lap here of 80 kilometres in San Francisco. Interesting season last year, wasn't it, Vicky, for Rico? As I mentioned, he got that win in San Francisco. I think a lot of us thought that was the moment he was going to kick on, perhaps get another win, another 2 wins, but he struggled to get on the podium, didn't he, for the rest of the year?
Yeah, San Francisco really was just that day where it all came together for him, and we kind of thought he cracked it, didn't we? He'd put together the run to back up the swim and bike that he'd been showing for some time, and then from that point onwards, we didn't quite get that same performance from him. I do think there's something about this bike course that he really, really enjoys, but there's also something about San Francisco that's really special to him. He was 3rd here in 2024, so that was a fantastic result alone. He then got engaged after the race in San Francisco. He came back a year later, having already got married, then had his debut win on the T100 here in San Francisco. So it's just got such special memories for him. So I feel like when he comes here, he brings something extra. I think it gives him a little boost coming back to this race.
Yeah, and I think also looking at this season, I mean, he missed Singapore, sadly, had a break from running for 4 weeks. He decided he wasn't quite fit enough for what is obviously a very, very brutal race. There's no hiding in Singapore. I think if you're not 100%, it's definitely a race that you probably would miss. And yeah, it's really good to see him back on the start line. So that right there is Leo Berger, who, well, he's had a pretty topsy-turvy up and down last couple of years racing triathlon. Obviously a hugely decorated Olympic medalist, but he's arrived on the T100, and when he's raced, when he's been fit and healthy, he's certainly made his mark.
French powerhouse.
I'm quite surprised of the performance. I kind of had the worst winter of my career.
Leo Berger is going to make the move into second. This has been hugely impressive.
What an addition he has been to this racing.
Leo Berger with the fastest swim.
I'm having a rough season this year. I'm dealing with 2 different injuries.
It's not been in anywhere near perfect preparation. A tumour that's causing sciatic nerve problems, to have an Achilles problem that's rumbled on. I think he just got overcooked that corner, got the angle a bit wrong.
My number one priority is to heal my body and to find the solution to be back at my best.
God, no matter how many times you look at that moment where he almost went off the edge in the south of France, it doesn't get any easier. Don't forget as well, those are the roads that he trains on. So if all the athletes to make a mistake like that, you wouldn't think Leo would be the one to do it.
Bit too excited, perhaps.
Bit too excited to be racing on home soil. But yeah, Vicky, what a tricky year, 2 years for him. And hearing him speak this week, I think it's it's a testament to the athlete that he is, that he's come back and seems even more mentally resilient.
Yeah, I mean, Leo's spoken a lot about how his dreams came true in Paris in 2024, you know, as an athlete who represents one of the best triathlon nations, especially in short course racing in the world. And then to have the Olympic Games in your home country during your athletic prime is sort of the thing that dreams are made of. And he delivered that bronze medal on home soil. He was absolutely elated with that, and I think it, by his own admission, he's perhaps got a little bit too excited after that, took on the opportunities that came his way, tried to make further improvements, and he just sort of overcooked things a little bit and has faced a multitude of injuries really since then, some of which I think he says probably he caused them by doing a bit too much, and then some which he didn't, some which unfortunately have just sort of come upon him, and he's had to deal with those. So he's had a really rocky year. The last time he's raced at all in middle distance or in short course racing at the T100, anything, was in the French Riviera last August. So he hasn't raced since then, and even in that period of time, it's not like it's all been plain sailing over the last few months. He's been dealing with further injury in the last few months, and he's only really put together a few weeks of running, and he's come here to try and desperately get a score on the board so that he can still have his hand in to try and win the series. Yeah, it really is remarkable. I'm sure we'll hear from him later on as well, talking about exactly that. You would think a couple of weeks of running isn't enough to be doing 18 kilometres with a field this good, but he is such a good runner, right? So, you know, maybe him on an average Leo Berger run actually is enough to be competitive because he's that good. Yeah, it's a big ask. But it is a big ask. But for someone who is of his calibre of athlete and who undoubtedly has done a lot of their basic fitness work on swim and bike, he can probably just about carry through with that. He said he's done like 3 tempo runs, but he hopes that that's enough to give him at least some kind of result here today. Different gravy, these athletes, they really are. But there we go. Mighty, mighty impressive. Just to look there at the fastest average bike speed so far, Rico Bogan, no surprise really to see him right out in front alongside Lassie Nygaard Priester as well. Blake Harris making his T100 debut, the last athlete to be called up. Only found out on Tuesday that he was racing here. 22-year-old Canadian, I should say. Really good to see him on a T100 race, and obviously making his mark as well. And what's this? We've got a technical official in and around a couple of athletes. Just making sure that they are following through and overtaking. Yeah, I think because that was around a U-turn section, they give them a little bit of grace for when they go into the draft zone there. So they're obviously still using their race ranger, but it's not quite such a vital moment to maintain 20 metre different distance. It's very difficult to do that, in fact, when everyone's sort of slowing down to go around the corner. So technical officials will of course let him know if they think he needs to hurry up and make that pass. But these are quite bunched together, aren't they? Oh, we can just see. So they're having a chat as well. But that's why we can see here, I think that's Henry Rappo has gone into his draft zone because they're talking. Yeah. So it's sort of not really his fault that they're having a chat and he's ended up in the draft zone. But they're tight, aren't they? Jake Birtwistle are there. Yeah. Kurt MacDonald, Morgan Pearson, Henry Rappo, Leo Berger, all very, very close. All right,
let's take a look, shall we, at what else you can get involved with on the T100 this year.
The finish. This is where it all ends. One line, one roar, one final step. Some chase seconds, some chase limits, some chase the challenge. Different journeys, same iconic course, same finish. And this is where your T100 journey begins.
Yeah, there is so much that goes on across a T100 weekend. That's one of the great things about this sport. You get to race the exact same courses that our professionals get to do. And I'll tell you what, being able to ride your bike on closed roads, particularly like these ones in the shadow of the Golden Gate Bridge, I mean, there really is very little better on offer in triathlon than that. So yeah, if you like what you're seeing and you want to get involved, please do join us. Visit the T100 website with all the details for upcoming races. So we are back here, just trying to work out. We're part of this. If this
we're
big
with Leo
group.
there. That's Leo Berger, and yeah, there's, as we said, there's about 5 athletes all together there. With Jake Birtwistle, Hayden Wild, Leo Berger, Morgan Pearson, and Kurt McDonald, all riding very close to one another. Henry Rappo, of course, in there as well. And we've just had it confirmed that Leo Berger has unfortunately got a penalty. There we go, it's just come up on screen. So I think that might have been what that discussion was with the TO that we saw. And Leo, unfortunately, is going to have to stand down in the penalty box next time he goes past. That'll be at the end of the lap. And that's a 1-minute penalty for Leo Berger.
Speaking of penalties, we're also hearing that Lassie Nygaard-Priester also has a penalty for equipment outside the box within the transition zone. So
that will be a 30-second penalty.
Yeah.
And he will take that in T2, I believe, or maybe actually as he heads out.
That's not what you want, is it?
No,
Your
it's
debut
not.
at this distance.
Especially when he's doing so well. You know, he's out there off the front of the race with Rico Bogan, showing bike legs like we've not seen before from Lassie Priester and really making his debut count. And he's going to have to stand down in T2. But the way Lassie Priester runs right now, this is looking so good for him. He's ran over the sort of half Ironman distance, so we're talking about half marathon at the end there. So I know a lot of people can relate to a half marathon, what people run that in, you know, when you do your local events and all the rest of it. He's ran a 66 twice off the bike and a 67.0 twice off the bike, all within the last sort of 7-8 months. So he is one of the absolute fastest runners in men's triathlon at the moment, and we were expecting to see him feature in this race, but possibly a little bit later on. I think we thought that he'd be there at the swim, that the bike might be a bit too much for him. The likes of Rico and Hayden, we were expecting to maybe put some time into him, even Leo, and then he would come back towards them on the run. But to see him right up there now, this is dangerous. This is a very, very dangerous statement of intent from Lassie Priester.
But it makes the penalty even more heartbreaking, because
but
30
it's 30
seconds.
Yeah. And you know, I think for him, if he knows he's got a 30-second penalty, if he's saying, okay, I've got a 30-second penalty, he's going to get to T2, he's going to take a moment, he's going to go, okay, I've got this penalty to take. But if he continues at this sort of pace, if he gets a gap of, say, a couple of minutes with Rico Bogan, I think he's going to be thinking, can I bring back those 30 seconds against Rico? And I think he'll fancy himself for that.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, just looking at those timing splits on the side of your screen, Hayden Wild now, that whole group, 1 minute 21 behind the leader of Rico Bogan. So Interestingly, that lead is increasing, and it's not with Hayden Wilde. Not that Hayden's not trying. If you look at those fastest laps, he's still mighty rapid on the bike, posting the fastest lap of anyone, 18:53. And that is a fair few seconds quicker than both Lassie Nygaard-Priester and Rico Bogan. So he might still yet come a little bit into this part of the race.
You've got to wonder if it's taken its toll on him a little bit, because he put in that lap 1 that was a good 10-15 seconds quicker than the rest of the field. And then that gap to him has gone out a bit on lap 2. And so you kind of got to wonder, has it just started to pinch a little bit? And I've also noticed that gap there is definitely more than the couple of seconds it was. So we're now up to about 8 seconds between Rico Bogan and Lassie Priester. So Rico really starting to stretch things out again. I mean, he just loves this course, doesn't he?
But Rico, I think Rico is looking at Lassie behind him, knowing what a good runner he is. Again, you know, they only raced together a few weeks ago. He'll be fully aware of his half marathon time and going, if I'm going to win this race, I need to build out a massive gap now in front of. As good a runner as Rico is, he's not as good a runner as Lassie.
Yeah, for sure. And we've said it a couple of times already. Rico was so good here last year. That's Hayden going in the opposite direction as they get eyes on each other there. He was so good here last year, and he put together such a complete performance, but he still would not have wanted to go head-to-head with Lassie Priester on the run. And I know he said he would like to have a bit of a gap off the bike again this year. That would be his ideal scenario again. And here we see start of lap 3, and he's starting to make that happen.
There we go. Obviously, a decent amount of this bike leg to go, just over 50 kilometres, in fact. But yeah, make no mistake, these athletes will be thinking about what's to come as Hayden Wilde takes that U-turn, that very tight U-turn at the end of this part of the course.
There he goes. Leo's going into the penalty tent.
Yeah, Leo in for his penalty.
So I think it was Kurt McDonald who went round just behind Hayden Wilde.
He's smiling.
I think he probably feels like when it rains it pours. Yeah. You know, he's had such bad luck over the last year or so, and he's just taking a gel on while he's there.
I can't believe how chilled out he looks. Barely looks like he's been putting any effort in. I mean, obviously I know he has, but he's really choosing to chill out at this part of the race.
Doesn't look too under stress, does he? I mean, there's a chance that he went, okay, I've got a penalty. I'm going to cruise into the end of this lap. I'm going to take the minute. I'm going to have my gel, and I'm going to absolutely power it out of this penalty
not even
tent.
Facing the right way.
Yeah, just having a quick look to see who's gone round. I think that was Jason West just going round behind him. So, yeah, he's got a little bit of work to do as Leo.
He does. But he'll almost be out of this minute. And I guess, yeah, exactly like you say, Vicky, you know, get your heart rate down. This is a great opportunity to take some recovery at this point in the race. And away he goes. And I think that's
Carlos Oliva. So he was one of our last minute entries into the race. He got a wild card call up, I think, about a week ago, maybe 6 days. He's had barely any notice at all, and it's just proved a little bit too much. And unfortunately, he is our first DNF of the day.
Yeah. Something we don't like to see, but perhaps the right decision for him as an athlete. Obviously, in the grand scheme of a season, better to DNF and preserve fitness, preserve your body, rather than potentially ruining the next few months of racing. So that is...
it's just such a shame, isn't it? No one ever wants to DNF a race, especially a race of this caliber that is so hard to get into, especially when you're on debut as well. You know, that this would have absolutely not been why he's made the journey across from Mallorca to come here and not finish the race. But some days it is just not your day.
Yeah. Cold, and you know, we obviously don't know the reasons yet, but you know, cold conditions, very, very different perhaps to what he's been racing and what he's been training for over the past few months.
Yeah, for sure.
So Rico Bogan still at the front of this race. That lead now gone up to 15 seconds. So like you said, Vicky, just starting to edge away, isn't he, from Lassie Nygaard-Priester?
And this is sort of what he did last year as well. He said he rode in the pack at the beginning last year and found it a bit easy. Wouldn't that be amazing, eh? Gosh. And that's why he sort of broke away last year. And again, he didn't realise quite the gap he had until he got into transition. And I think that day, I'm sure, just lives on in his brain. I imagine he thinks about it a lot, that perfect day where he took the win, and he will have dreamt of reproducing that, doing it again, and it's exactly what he's doing. He's sort of manifested it into existence.
Yeah, I imagine coming back to a course that you've won at brings only good memories, and certainly gives you a huge amount of confidence that you can do something special again. But it's a significant gap, isn't it? Because that's a way down the course. I mean, minute 36, in fact, at the last count between Rico Bogan and Hayden Wild. And I think that, yeah, that is, there is, no, beg your pardon, that is Hayden Wild just out in front. That's a cyclist going about their Saturday morning.
Race, no.
I was very confused. I thought, wow, they're going very slowly. So
that's what's happened if they got a puncture. No, Hayden is on, I would say, the front of that group of about 4 athletes that we've had riding together for quite some time now. And without wishing any disrespect on those athletes at all, I think what we would usually see by now is that Hayden has broken away from those athletes and that he's either at the front or off the front of these races. We've just become so accustomed to seeing that. He's usually up there with Rico. Between the two of them, they're sharing kind of the fastest bike splits of the day. So for me, this is just telling me that he's not quite right. And we knew that. He's been very transparent about that. And of course, there's no way he would have not started the race last weekend if he didn't absolutely have to pull out of it. But this to me is a Hayden that is in okay shape, but is not at his absolute peak right now, and he's definitely not quite giving the fireworks that we've seen before, or that we're used to seeing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hayden just taking on a bit of nutrition there as he makes his way up this hilly part of the course. Those aero bottles, hard to know if he's actually lost some nutrition from the back there. Perhaps he's dropped it in the litter zone.
Perhaps he tried his magic trick again and it didn't quite work. And for those who weren't watching in Singapore, go back and check. Yeah. Hayden did some absolute voodoo magic by having a drinks bottle pop out of that rear bottle cage and land on his saddle, just perched there, and then he reached around and grabbed it, took a swig, gave a knowing smile to the camera and popped it back in again. It was a very classy moment.
He said on his YouTube channel as well, something he's done before. It wasn't the first time that he's done it. It's something he's, I don't want to say he's practiced it in training, but it's something that happens to him quite regularly, and he's managed to get quite used to it. So incredible, really, from Hayden. And that went super viral last time out. 36.7 million views on Instagram at the last count. So quite extraordinary. Anyway, let's turn our attention to San Francisco and last year Rico Bogan's incredible win.
Pushing up to Martin Van Riel, and for the first time in 15 kilometres, Martin Van Riel's seen the front of the race.
They're side by side, still side
Martin
by
Van
side.
Riel. Martin Van Riel's in front. Martin Van Riel calls me. Oh my goodness! We are going to need an extra camera angle. Wow! This is the best finish we have seen.
That was just breathtaking.
Correction on that, not Rico Bogan's win. that was last year. That footage was actually from the year before. That incredible sprint finish, Vicky. Oh my goodness me, what we would do to have another one of those today.
Oh, it would be absolutely phenomenal. We talk about it all the time. When are we going to get a sprint finish just like we got in San Francisco in 2024? And that was a really epic moment on the T100. And of course, Rico was involved in that sprint finish, and he finished third that day, which in and of itself was a great race, and he really set the pace a lot that day. And I think, again, took some people by surprise with his performance that day. And then last year, that was the moment when he really stepped up again and rode off the front and held on for the win with a really strong run performance as well. So Rico, by far the most successful athlete on this course over the 3 years, and over the 2 years so far, I should say, and hoping to go again today.
25 years old. that 25 years old at the moment, would have been obviously 23 when that happened. I thought he looked so young in that footage. Maybe the shorter hair, I don't know what it was, but yeah, very young looking Rico Bogan.
23 is a baby in my book, I think. So yeah, it's so hard to well, it's easy to forget, maybe I should say, that he's such a young athlete still, because he's achieved so much, and we've got plenty more of these days, I think, to see from Rico.
Yeah, in terms of young athletes, our youngest in the field today, Blake Harris, the Canadian, 22 years old. So he's giving Rico a run for his money, and has been putting in some pretty good speed on the bike, it's fair to say already. But this is a great side-by-side look at Rico Bogan against Hayden Wild. Minute 45, that gap is starting just to increase even more. Minute 52, I should say, that's just been updated. So it's going up, and Rico comfortably, looking very, very comfortable, I should say, at the front of this race. And the average speed there just goes to show, Vicky, doesn't it? Rico just able to put a little bit more power down.
Yeah, he's just maintaining, just as you said, ticking over into the 40s, 40 kilometre an hour range, which Hayden's just a little bit below that at the moment. But again, it's just not what we're used to seeing. Oh, look at those stunning views. What a shot over the San Francisco Bay with the Golden Gate Bridge there. That's what we're here for. But yeah, Hayden, for me, he's just not quite right. But potentially, dare I say it makes it more exciting. Could we see a scenario with Hayden coming into transition 2-3 months off, minutes, months, hope not, minutes off the back of the likes of Rico and just trying to hunt them down on the run? I mean, that really would be exciting, and I think possibly could lead us back into sprint finish territory.
Well, yeah, we would absolutely love to see something like that. 18 kilometres, of course, so plenty of time and plenty of distance for Hayden to make up, and we know what a superb runner he is.
I mean, so far for me, it's just shown that as amazing as Hayden is, and how many times we've seen him dominate these races, that he doesn't turn up unwell. He turns up fit and ready, and that is how he wins these races. He doesn't just turn up on a whim. He's very meticulous and very diligent, and he's very professional in the way he turns up. When he's come here to do this race and he's not quite right, the standard of so many of these other athletes shows that actually he can't just turn up and be at 80% and actually run away with it. I'm not saying he's not going to win. He might still win. That's the beauty of this racing. We don't know. But he's not running away with it yet, and that shows that actually the level of the other athletes is a lot higher than maybe sometimes we see, because all we see is this Hayden going so far off the front and being so incredible that we forget how good his competitors are too.
Yeah, just trying to work out who that is who has just overtaken. If the timing screen is up to date, that would be Kurt McDonald. You would think, who's just gone ahead there of Hayden Wild. Obviously get confirmation on that, and it's just not a sight we're used to seeing, is it? Hayden being overtaken on the bike leg. That's really not something we're used to seeing on the T100. Certainly, well, over the last couple of years that we've had the pleasure of watching Hayden Wild, our 2025 T100 World Champion, no less, race with us.
He's having a great race today, though, Kurt McDonald. I mean, he got his T100 debut, I think, back in Wollongong towards the end of last year, where he was 16th. He raced in Singapore beginning of this season, so he raced our first T100 of the year, and he was 10th. And I know he's spoken about how his aim, again, is to get in the top 10 and just keep getting repeat invites and starts for these races. And right now he's having a fantastic race. He's 6th. He's going toe-to-toe with Hayden Wild. They were sort of taking turns on the bike. So it's a brilliant position for him to be in. So yeah, 10th, there we go, on screen right now. 10th at Singapore at the last race, and looking really good to improve on that here today.
Yeah, so the swim in Singapore was one of the worst of his career. It's all relative, isn't it?
It's that hot water, I tell you, it's horrible. I think as much as the cold water shock is nasty, and not being able to feel your hands and feet is a real big challenge, I think I'd still prefer to swim in the cold water than the hot water, because it can just make you feel horrible. Makes it you feel like you're swimming through sludge, but it has such a knock-on effect to your race when your core temperature gets too high. So I can totally sympathise with you there, Kurt. I agree.
One day we'll give our athletes a nice flat course, a 19-degree bit of water. No, where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that? Absolutely, we've got to give them the challenging conditions, because it just goes to, it proves just how talented and how sort of otherworldly they are, and just how fit the best T100 athletes are.
Yeah, that's right. But a really good day from Kurt McDonald. I know he didn't go back over to Australia after Singapore. I think he went to Girona after that. So here we go, Hayden Wilde coming back past him again as they climb up this hill. So the two of them do seem to have broken away a little bit. I mean, Burt Whistle's there about 7-8 seconds back. They've broken away from Henry Rappo. So yeah, we haven't seen Jacob on screen yet, but I think that's the two, maybe three of them riding together.
Yeah, Jake Birtwistle also having a really good year. A couple of wins so far this season. Finished 6th in Singapore, so no surprise to see him in the top 5 so far. And excellent runner as well.
Yeah, he felt that he didn't really put the complete race together there either. I know he's really struggled, he said, to get all 3 components aligned. He's felt that he's swimming really well, he's biking really well, he's running really well, but it hasn't quite, gelled all 3 of them together. And in Singapore, he was really disappointed with his bike, but ran really well. And so I think he's just really hoping to put all the elements together.
All right, well, Rico Bogan still at the front of this race. And yeah, putting down some pretty impressive numbers to boot as well. Let's hear from him. He was speaking to us earlier in the week.
I think if you want to win, you have to stop Hayden. But yeah, it will be difficult to beat Hayden, and I wouldn't risk everything for the win now, because if we say Hayden and me coming together from the bike and he's pushing 3 minutes pace and I'm holding this for 5 kilometers and I'm done, and then I'm just finishing in 10th place. So I wouldn't risk everything for the win. But yeah, if Hayden has maybe a little bit of a bad day, or yeah, he had an illness 1 week ago or so maybe he's not 100% fit, yeah, then maybe it's possible to at least yeah, a little bit struggle that he has to struggle. But yeah, but I'm really looking forward to trying to be on the podium, I would say. So I would wish to get on the podium and doing everything for this.
Yeah, really interesting to get the thoughts of Rico Bogan. Really good to see him back on the T100, his first T100 race of the season with us. Missed Singapore just because of that niggly injury, but he's back and has also been speaking about how he's aiming just to improve his run. He's aiming for 1 to 3 seconds per kilometre, which is going to move him into more consistent podium positions. It sounds, doesn't it, Vicky, like such a small amount, but when you're at this level, when you're at the top of your game, is that kind of the great unknown? 1 to 3 seconds per kilometre, is actually very, very difficult to get that on your run. Yeah,
absolutely. We're talking about the very final percentages here. Like, he's done the 99.9% of everything to get the maximum out of himself, and now he's just trying to eke out those final few seconds. And he knows that with his swim bike combination, he is up there with the absolute very, very best in the world. But to make him sort of unbeatable, to put him up in the Hayden Wilde territory, he needs a couple more seconds on the run, and he's absolutely right with that. And I know he's been working hard on that, was working really hard on that in the off season, and started to see he'd made some improvements before he picked up a bit of an injury, and that kind of set him back a bit again. That's obviously why we didn't see him in Singapore. He wasn't quite ready. So hoping that he's hoping that the work he has put in will show soon, and that run will just become a bit more consistent for him, and that will undoubtedly lead to further podiums and wins on the T100.
It must be hard though, mustn't it? You push just that 1 or 2% too much, and then you get injured. I mean, sounds very similar to what Morgan Pearson has done. You're just trying to find that extra, not even percent, like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 of a percent of performance, and before you know it, you can find yourself with a stress fracture, you can find yourself injured, out for a few months, and then you're back to square one. It must be so frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. It is part and parcel of this sport, of any elite sport really, but it is so frustrating. And you always have to worry when you're running faster than you've ever run before, because you're doing things to your body, your bones, your ligaments, your joints that they've never been through that. They've never worked at that intensity, and that is when you're always on edge of getting an injury.
Who would be a triathlete?
It's part of the joy in the puzzle.
There was a good look just a few moments ago, actually, at the transition area for the amateur race, the Sokin Escape from Alcatraz, which is happening tomorrow. That's just to the right of this part of the bike course that you can just see over there. Thousands of amateurs are going to be taking to the water tomorrow to escape from Alcatraz. I remember last year went for a little run the morning after the T100 race, and that race was going on, and seeing all the volunteers trying to help all of the amateur athletes out of their wetsuits as soon as they got out the water, perhaps less experienced, and like we've been saying, your hands are cold, you don't have the dexterity to get your wetsuit off. Amazing race though, and I'm sure they're going to have an awful lot of fun, if that's the right word, tomorrow. They'll certainly enjoy it.
Oh, it's triathlete fun.
Yeah.
Not always like everybody kind of fun, but triathlon fun is it hits a bit different, I think. But yeah, certainly if you are a triathlete, this is an absolute must-do race, or a bucket list race if you can get yourself to San Francisco at some point in your life to do Escape from Alcatraz. I mean, Alcatraz itself is obviously incredibly famous, incredibly iconic, so to do that race and say that you've successfully escaped from Alcatraz is something to be pretty proud of as a triathlete, I think.
Not many people can say that they've escaped from Alcatraz, least of all the inmates that were there.
Yes, some tried.
Yeah, some tried, many tried, but yeah, not many succeeded, and you can see why. It's a tough old place to get away from, but Rico Bogan did get away from it, as did 20 of our T100 athletes. Thank goodness that they did, and he's just sort of like you said, Vicky, earlier. He's just slowly but surely, second here, second there. Every time we look back at the timing screen, he's just
going out,
pushing it up a tiny bit more.
Yeah,
and,
he's interestingly, he's got now 45 seconds on Lassi Niger Priester, but Lassi Priester is still taking out time on everyone else. So he's holding really strong in second on his own there. It's not like that elastic to Rico snapped and then he was sucked back into that pack behind. He's still out there halfway through this bike riding solo, and I'm actually really, really impressed with this performance.
Yeah, so far so good for Lassi. That is such a good shot. I mean, San Francisco is such an incredible city, but their hills in this city are absolutely extraordinary. You won't have seen anything like them. Well, not that I've seen anyway in other cities. They are so ridiculously steep.
Yeah, the steep climbs. You're in a car thinking, is my car going to roll back down this hill? It's absolutely insane, isn't it?
Try parking your car and leaving it with the handbrake on and hoping that it stays there. But yeah, I mean, that's what everyone does. Obviously, who lives in this part of the world, they seem to be very happy to do so. But yeah, beautiful morning here in San Francisco. Just that's coming up to 8 o'clock.
Jake whistle, I think, there on screen. So we've not seen lots of Jake today, but nice distinctive green helmet. Thank you, Jake, for helping us to to pick you out nice and easily. But we mentioned it earlier, he had a pretty solid start to the season in Singapore. He was 6th place in Singapore, but felt like he didn't really put the whole thing together. Didn't feel like his bike was particularly good on that day. And we mentioned it so many times on the day, but the conditions there really, truly were pretty extreme. And he's come here and really hopes that he's going to be able to show at some point that all areas of triathlon for him, the swim, the bike, the run, they're all going really well, and that he's ready to step up and put in a really, really solid all-round performance. And right now, riding right behind Kurt McDonald and Hayden Wild, that's a fantastic place for him to be halfway through the bike, and I think he'll be really pleased to see that day he's hoping for, where he can start to put it all together. That is looking on today, and only he will know when his feet hit the floor and he starts running, whether his run legs are present or not. but I wouldn't bet against him. The type of athlete he is, you know, he's got Commonwealth medals to his name. He's won World Series short course races. He's a very, very classy athlete, been to the Olympic Games. I think he will be very happy with how his day's gone so far.
Yeah, he's spoken about actually being rejuvenated by middle distance triathlon, you know, compared with the short course. I think he was pretty done with short course if you hear him speak about it, but by the time he finished, and he's obviously found a kind of new lease of life in this sport, and that's something we hear quite often, isn't it? And the kind of relearning, if you will, of triathlon. The nutrition is different, the bike is different. All of those aspects that you think you know, that you're sort of ingrained in your brain, are actually very, very different in this version of the sport.
It's really difficult to keep it fresh sometimes, and Jake's been doing the sport for a really long time, and that final kind of points chase, trying to get himself to the Olympic Games again for the Paris cycle, that's pretty brutal for a lot of athletes. There's a lot of globe trotting, there's a lot of going to races that maybe don't really fit your schedule, but you've got to chase selection, chase points, and that didn't pan out for him in the Paris cycle, and I think that sort of left him with a pretty clear decision that his short course days were done and that he was going to move on to middle distance. And yeah, just something different, something a bit fresh is exactly what you often need, and I think it's shown this year that he started to make some moves and big step up in the middle distance world.
Well, across the season, the 3 best scores plus the score of an athlete in the grand final are going to determine where they finish in the race to Qatar.
History waits at the finish line. There's everything to play for.
Yeah, huge money on the line in Qatar. $725,000 no less will be divided up amongst our athletes, and yeah, it's well worth making sure you're in, you know, I mean, any place that you can make up in the last few laps of a run, perhaps, or it just gives you that extra motivation, I think, to keep going, because knowing that there really are some rather large prizes handed out come December.
Points mean prizes has never been more apt, has it, than in this event, you know, this series, this race to Qatar, where there is so much money on the line. At individual races, of course, $50,000 for the win on the day for this particular race, for all the individual races of the series, and a huge amount more on the line for the overall series as well. So definitely worth every extra place you can make up in any single race that you do.
It certainly is. So let's just, we're just over halfway through the bike leg. Let's kind of take stock, shall we, of the runners and riders. So I'd say Rico Bogan out in front, Lasse Nygaard Priester sticking with him, but that gap is starting to draw further out, isn't it? 55 seconds back. Hayden Wild, someone we're so used to seeing at the very front of these races, not feeling his best. What can he do in this second half of this bike leg? Can he force his way further up to Rico Bogan? Then we've got Kurt McDonald, Jake Birtwistle, Henry Rappo, Yannick Schauffele, all not too far apart. And then Morgan Pearson led us out of the swim, don't forget, was first out on the bike, and he now finds himself 8th. He's such a quick runner, posted the 3rd fastest run split of anyone in Qatar at the back end of last year, ran a 3:09 per kilometre average for the 18 kilometres, which is so quick. So don't discount Morgan Pearson. This is his first race back on the T100 this year, just coming back from injury. And then beyond him, we've got Leo Berger and Jason West, who make up the top 10. So I think it's nicely poised, Vicky, isn't it?
It's really well poised, and if you look at, we've got Rico, of course, off the front, Lasse Priester at about a minute now. Then from Hayden Wild in 3rd place, back down to Leo Berger in 9th place. It's not even a minute, it's about 50 seconds between those two, we've got 6 athletes there. All of them are good runners, and there's a few real standout runners in there. We've got Jason West just behind that as well. These guys can make up a lot of time on the run. It's going to be really exciting to see who can move through, because there are podium positions up for grabs here.
Oh, it's very exciting. Whilst we're excited in the commentary box, let's get some thoughts down on the ground. I believe Greg Welch is down with Team Morgan Pearson. Over to you, Greg.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Matt and Vicky. Standing by right now, Adam is Morgan Pearson's friend, high school friend actually, that ran cross country and track and everything with him. Morgan's got a little bit of a deficit right now in the bike ride, but we know what his run's capable of.
Yeah, he thrives on the chase. And he saw Qatar last year at the end, made up some time, so I think he'll come out firing.
Yeah, great win in Dubai at the end of the year, and second place in the grand final in Qatar. But right now we've got perfect conditions. You're from this local area, shorts and, you know, like a nice little top there, but you don't seem to be too cold.
No, not too bad. I mean, this is normal for us. The coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Oh, okay, Mark Twain. Yes, that's famous from Mark Twain, of course, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, all right. So right now, you know, we've got great conditions out there in the swim. You don't normally see it like that here in San Francisco. It's 12 degrees Celsius at the moment. It's starting to warm up just a little bit, but we got wind gusts of around about 15 miles an hour out of the west-northwest, and that's pretty much a typical wind here.
Yeah, typical wind, but, you know, tough with the aero bars with the disc getting blown around, so I hope he's tucking in, doing his best.
Yeah, so we've seen Morgan out there on the bike. You know, he's got a pretty big fan club out there. Go Mo signs and everything down there for him. But right now, this screaming tailwind back into town here is enabling the athletes to reach speeds of over 55 kilometers an hour. But when they turn around, it is hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough course, but I think that's what makes it fun and exciting.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Adam. Look, Rico Bogan's out there at the moment just having the time of his life. He is young, 23-year-old German like you were talking about before. He's really using this course to his advantage, which is the bike. Will he have enough at the end of the race to hang on the run? We'll just have to wait and see, but right now it looks good. Hayden Wilde, the overwhelming favourite, coming back from a little bit of an illness, is doing good at this point in time. Don't give up on him as well as Morgan Pearson.
Well, great to get the insights there from Morgan Pearson's team, and really good to see so many people supporting their home hope as well. Obviously fantastic for Morgan to get a home race, and I think that will be an extra pep in his step, won't it, Vicky, being able to race on home soil?
Oh, definitely. It's something as an athlete that you never take for granted. There's definitely a bit of a home advantage effect that sort of unquantifiable, intangible, can't understand why it is there, but it is. And it always seems to be that athletes who are racing at home manage to bring a little something else. I know that Morgan's got a brother, I think, who lives locally as well, so I'm sure he's out supporting him too. And, you know, for Morgan, he's really sort of committed, I guess, to our T100 circuit over the last year or so, and he still wants to race T100, but he's also got his eye on LA 2028 because, of course, as an American, to get the chance to go to the Olympic Games in your home country is so special, and that's something that he's going to be starting to focus on a bit later on this year. And that, I think, was Leo Berger heading past this little pack, past Morgan Pearson himself and Henry Rappo, and moving on to the front of that group.
Yeah, just saw Morgan Pearson there pointing ahead.
So I think it was actually Schaufler. I've said Henry Rappo, but I believe that was Yannick Schaufler instead.
Yeah. Taking some cheers from people on the side of the road, which is always good to see. But yeah, his bike has improved a lot, hasn't it, Vicky? I think if you compare it to a year ago when he was here, you know, his first T100 race, he really struggled to keep up with the quality and the speed on the bike. But I mean, it's definitely an area he's improved.
Oh, very much so. And again, for some people, they just hop onto a TT bike having never ridden one before, and they feel comfortable, at ease, they feel powerful, they can be quite aero and aggressive without too many problems. But for other people, it's a real process and it just takes a lot of time. You can't make yourself super aero all in one go. You might have to just gradually make those tweaks to make yourself more aerodynamic so that you're not risking injury or a loss of power or an inability to run fast off of it. So it's different for different people, but Morgan is an athlete who clearly is so committed to honing in this craft and has worked really, really hard, both in short course racing and in T100 racing, to get it right. And I know that his little injury that he dealt with early this year, and the reason he's only starting his season now at the beginning of June, came about after tweaking with his position. He was trying to get a few more gains, be a bit more aerodynamic on the bike, made himself a little, well, he thought a little bit faster, but the very next day sort of pulled up in a run session with a bit of adductor pain and had to manage that on and off for a fair while, which is why we've seen him sort of had to miss that first race in Singapore, hasn't raced short course yet this year. So a little bit of a delayed start to the season for Morgan Pearson, but I know he feels ready to especially tear into that run course, and at current standings at not even 4 minutes down on the lead, and really that's 3 minutes down on everybody else, 1 and a bit minutes down on everyone bar Lassie Priester and Rico Bogan. That is perfectly poised for him to put himself right up in there when they get onto the run.
I think you can see why athletes, if you're not feeling 100% and you just, particularly at this part of the season, it's not worth blowing the following months, is it? You can see why so many athletes elect maybe just to miss 1 or 2 races, because if now, for example, he does come back and he's injury free and he can race consistently to the end of the season, well, he's a lot fresher than perhaps some of the athletes who've been going, particularly the Southern Hemisphere athletes who've been going and racing since even November or December of last year. They have some pretty big races in the Southern Hemisphere at that point. So it's an interesting kind of discussion, I guess, isn't it? When do you peak and when do you try to become sort of the best version of yourself as an athlete in the season?
I think for people who are looking to compete all the way through to December, for example, people in the race to Qatar, of course they're going to have to compete in December because that is when the final race of our series is in Qatar. You've got to be careful and considerate of when you're going to race across the season, and I think it's actually quite a smart move for those athletes who are starting now. It's a much shorter window of time to try and keep themselves fit and healthy, gives them a bigger block of time when they're not racing to sort of lay foundations, to make big changes, to make improvements. It's so hard to do that when you've only got 6 to 8 weeks off season, really. So yeah, I think there's actually a lot to be said for those coming in, and I say late, we're only at the beginning of June, and go back 10 years, people didn't really start racing till May, but now you can start racing in February and March. It seems so late to be starting in June, but I think in context it's not a bad decision at all.
Yeah, it just goes to show, doesn't it, how the sport of triathlon has evolved, and now there are brilliant races all around the world, and you could make a case for racing in December, racing in January. I mean, there really are some excellent races. You really have the pick of the bunch if you're a professional triathlete, which is obviously fantastic for where the sport has come. And yeah, right now Rico Bogan still out in front here, and as we've been saying, for pretty much the entirety of this bike leg, with just under 30 kilometres left to go until transition, he's just edging away. Those seconds just adding up and adding up. And like you said, Vicky, it's reminiscent of last year, and we can take a look back at exactly how he was able to win the T100 San Francisco last year. So there we go. It was a good swim for Rico. A few seconds back out the swim, but it was the fastest bike leg of anyone, Vicky, that really was the deciding factor, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. He really did get away on the bike last year. Came into T2 with a 2.5 minute advantage, and we wondered if the likes, I think it was of Jelle Geens, who in the race that day might be able to eat into that gap, but they just couldn't make any inroads on him. He held strong all day, and the emotion there of what it means to him to win his first T100 was really special, and you've got to start to wonder if we're going to see that again.
Yeah, that Rico grimace It's kind of a bit of PTSD of seeing that, isn't it? He had that grimace, apart from the maybe second before he crossed the finish line, he had that sort of famous Rico Bogan grimace that we're so used to seeing, where you're not quite sure if he's hurting, if he's happy, kind of exactly how he's feeling.
Probably a bit of everything, I think.
It is a bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of this sport, whether you are amateur or whether you are professional. I think everyone can relate to that feeling of both exhaustion, of pain, of the lactic acid in your muscles, but also just the elation of reaching your goal, of getting to the finish line. And that's something that, it transcends both professional and amateur fields, and it's that buzz is what keeps people coming back, and why people should be going out and finding their local races and joining their local clubs and getting involved, because it really is a special feeling making that finish line.
Yeah, it certainly is. Can't wait to be doing it in London this year.
Well, you certainly got the bug, haven't you, Matt? I mean,
I've certainly got the bug.
We rewind 12 months, and I think it was about now we started dropping into commentary that you were going to be taking on your first triathlon, and you didn't go in light, you went straight in with a T100.
Yeah, it was about now I was panicking about doing a 2-kilometre swim, I think. But I had some great lessons, was able to just about make it out the swim, and then yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I actually love this.
Not just about.
Well,
I mean, for context, for those listening, we're talking about a 2:15 per 100-meter swim pace.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's a really relatable and special journey. You know, coming from someone who wants a new challenge, is found this new sport and wants to try and piece it all together, and they've got to learn something new. There are so many people out there, I think, really who will relate to that and wanting something to try that's a bit different in their life. And triathlon offers something for everyone, of course, with the 3 sports, and there are so many different ways of going about it, getting involved with the really short distances to begin with, or whether that's an aquathlon or a duathlon. But yeah, lovely community we have in triathlon, and I absolutely adore, more than anything, seeing people fall in love with it. So it's been a pleasure watching you get the bug, Matt.
Oh, thank you, Vicky. Don't underestimate an aquathon, is all I'll say. Yeah, was humbled the other day by a 750-meter swim in open water. But anyway, we'll leave that. We'll leave that for another day. We won't get your race
report for today, then. No,
let's not talk about that today. back to the pros who know exactly what they're doing, and Rico Bogan right now at the front of this race. 3 minutes 16 ahead of Hayden Wild. That is fascinating to see, isn't it? Really. You know, you certainly don't wish Hayden ill, and you never want to see an athlete unwell at the start of a race, because obviously there's an awful lot of pain and suffering that goes into what Hayden's had to do just to get to the start line today. But I do wonder if a few of the athletes who saw that he wasn't at 100%, perhaps Rico just gave him a little bit of a extra motivation to go, well, okay, I'm really going to go for this, because if Hayden's not 100%, I might have a good chance of taking the fight to him. And so far, I think if you were to pick your podium, as it were, I think you'd certainly be looking at Rico Bogan right now in the commanding position. But there is so far to go. There's an 18-kilometre run to go, no less, and just over 25 kilometres on the bike.
Well, yeah, so Rico really is starting to build quite a big lead now. He's got a minute back to Lassie Priester, and then 3:16 back to the Hayden Wild, Jake Birtwistle and Kurt McDonald group. So that is a really sizable gap now, and that kind of knowledge that he'll have, he does see the athletes on this part of the course, on this out and back section. He'll know every time he goes past them that, oh, that's gone up a bit, it's gone up a bit more. That starts to almost give you a bit of air beneath your sails, doesn't it? It starts to make you feel, oh, this is working, the plan is working, I'm getting the time I need. And he'd spoken about ideally having a couple of minutes off the bike. Well, he's going to have more than that on absolutely everybody in the field, bar Lassie Priester. And I think he will still have an eye on Lassie Priester. He may well not know that he has a penalty. So that's another 30 seconds that will add on to that. So it could come down to a head-to-head between those two Germans when we hit the run. But right now, this is the absolute dream day once again for Rico Bogan.
Yeah, he loves San Francisco, Rico Bogan. Got engaged here a couple of years ago, and a race win as well. And yeah, when he gets on the plane, sees San Francisco, I think he only thinks of good things. So, if you like what you see and you want to give this wonderful sport of triathlon a go, well, there's plenty of opportunities to do so across the year with the T100. Here's how you can get involved. Yeah, like I say, there's so many ways you can get involved in the T100, and you can start by scanning that QR code on your screen now. That will take you to t100triathlon.com/participate, where you can find out about all the races that are happening near you. And of course, just like last year, very excitingly, we've got the Age Group World Championship, which will be taking place in December. We had over 45 countries, no less, represented in the inaugural outing last year, and you can qualify by finishing in the top 10 in your age category in a T100 race, and you'll get the invite. And it was very special to be part of that brilliant community of very good triathletes, it's fair to say, in Qatar at the back end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, a really cool initiative to have those age group world champions as part of the T100 Tour as well. But of course, if that's not exactly what you're aiming for and you're just looking at a new challenge or something to get involved with, there's all sorts there. So do go on that t100.com/participate, and you will find all different things. At every event we have, there are lots of different races. Of course, here we've got the Sokin Escape from Alcatraz happening tomorrow, but at most races we have something like a 5-kilometer fun run. There will be an aquathlon, there might even be junior races or sprint distance, Olympic distance, the whole shebang. We've got it going on. So there really is something for everyone, and you can get involved in a relay if you're just dipping your toe in the water, so to speak, or maybe you don't want to dip your toe in the water.
So you just want to do the bike or the run.
Just want to stay firmly on dry land. But all of those things are available to you with the T100.
They certainly are. And just goes to show how quick Hayden Wild is going as you look at those Saturday morning cyclists going about their business. Not going slowly by any stretch.
They're thinking, hang on, what's going on here? Thought the race was tomorrow.
Yeah, Hayden Wild absolutely racing past them, it's fair to say, in the shadow of the Golden Gate Bridge. And as perhaps unwell or as off colour as Hayden Wild is, he's still putting in a mighty performance here. He's still fourth in a field of very, very good athletes. So it's not all bad for Hayden Wild.
Oh, absolutely not. And, you know, we are talking about this gap that Rico is building and how ominous that's starting to look, but there are a bunch of athletes from behind who are phenomenal runners, and if Rico does falter, they will be coming for the crown. And one of those athletes, of course, is Hayden Wild, because on his day he is the best across the board, and he has had the fastest run split multiple times in these races. So, you know, if he's just not quite at his absolute best on the bike, but he can find something on the run, he's still in with a chance of winning this race. We absolutely can't write him off yet.
No, you absolutely can't. It would be one of the great victories, wouldn't it, of Hayden Wild's career if he was to win from this position.
Yeah, from a place of adversity as well. Yeah. So
all the more reason to stay tuned, because if it was something that would happen, I think it would go down. Yeah, certainly in Hayden's mind as one of the very best. And he's interestingly there, Vicky, sort of taking water at exactly the same point in the course. Is that something you would sort of tactically do? You'd work out what the slower parts of the course and try to take your water in there?
Yeah, definitely. The parts of the course where it's the easiest, the safest to take on the water, the easiest to sort of swallow and digest it, all of those sorts of things, definitely. And the slower parts of the course, that's usually where you would do it. And you're also trying to just make sure you keep taking on as much as you've planned out. So you'll have a certain amount of fluids, hydration, but also, of course, the carbs that often at times are in your fluids. You've got to try and hit those amounts to make sure you're fueling as well as possible. And so just having certain checkpoints on the course where you're like, okay, I'm here again, drink, I'm here again, drink. Just make sure that you're actually going to take everything on board that you need to, so that when you come to the run, you are adequately both hydrated but also fueled. Yeah,
we hear so many athletes talking about the importance of nutrition and perhaps feeling a bit undercooked, or pushing. I mean, some of the numbers we're hearing now for the amount of carbohydrates that
it's insane, isn't it? I know.
Athletes are consuming per hour is absolutely extraordinary, and that is obviously one of the changes that we've seen in the sport of triathlon over the past few years. It's the science and the sports science behind it is evolving at a rapid pace, but it's a pretty exciting time to be into it. If that is if you find that interesting, you find the data and all of the various aspects of triathlon interesting. It's a fascinating time. It really is. So stunning view here of San Francisco, and Rico Bogan is still looking good for it, isn't he? He's still at the front, taking on a bit of nutrition there. You can just see, I think he's got gel in his right hand.
Yeah, and it's gone over 3.5 minutes now, back to Hayden Wild and Jake Birtwistle, Kurt McDonald. So Henry Rappo just under 4 minutes, as is Leo Berger. Then we've got Yannick Schaufler at 4.5 minutes alongside Pearson. And Will Draper moved into the top 10, I should say, for the first time at just about 5 minutes back from Rico Bogan.
Yeah, and Hayden pretty close there to Jake out in front there. Just let that lead go a little bit further, just to make sure, obviously, he's not susceptible to a drafting penalty. The Race Ranger, that flashing light on the back of the bike there. We've got 45 seconds to make the pass. We've said a few times, haven't we, what an impressive race it was for Jake Birtwistle in Singapore, and we can take a look back at some of the highlights of that now. And it was a fantastic, well, I was going to say it wasn't a fantastic swim if you're Jake Birtwistle, and he said it wasn't the best swim of his career. Came 11th out the water. He was then 10th on the bike. But it was the run, Vicky, wasn't it? Fastest run of the day, 1:01:24 18k, which was actually 30 seconds faster than Hayden Wild in the end.
Yeah, he looked pretty smooth on the run, and he moved through nicely after, as he said, not having the day on the bike that he would have hoped for, but a really solid start to his campaign for the year. And again, he's another athlete who's spoken about how this is his aim for the season. He wants to be here. He wants to be racing all these T100 races. And he really just wants to put together the complete race. And it's one thing when athletes say that, but it's another thing when you've actually seen them do all the individual parts, but in different races. And we have seen that with Jake. We've seen races where he's been exceptional on the bike and some where he's been exceptional on the run, but he hasn't yet put them together over this distance. And I think he's hoping today is going to be the day.
Since we last saw him in Singapore as well, he's had a win. Won an event in Sydney. Actually run the fastest half marathon there, 1:09:15. So impressive runner, and I guess a win. Obviously the field perhaps not to the level that a T100 field is, but a win is a win, and that must give you so much confidence going into the rest of your season to get a win under your belt.
Well, I think it gave him extra confidence because he's often said that he struggles to back the racing up when it's weekend on weekend, especially over this longer distance. He's someone who's done the majority of his career in short course, but has, of course, now stepped up. And he's found it quite difficult to repeat, to do well weekend on weekend. And I can totally understand that the fatigue is different in this middle distance than it is to short course racing. But he was able to go back from Singapore to Western Sydney and win there, and I think that will have given him a huge amount of confidence. I think that's Leo Berger we're seeing again coming round this group now. Yeah, so the sort of this group actually working very well together, you would say, because they're all part of the pack. But Leo's got to be careful here. He's probably been there's a double overtake happening here, isn't there?
I think he's been slightly caught out by Hayden Wild there, also going for a move. So Leo is going to have to
put in an extra bit of power now.
Go in the cycle lane, probably the fastest anyone's ever gone in that cycle lane, and try to get in front of Hayden Wild here, which he has done.
But that indicates that he has caught back to this pack. Of course, he was a minute down after taking that penalty. So he was in this pack when he pulled off into the penalty tent, and it's taken him a couple of laps, but he has got back up there. So he's now riding right back in that main sort of chase pack, shall we call them, behind Rico Bogan off the front, and of course Lassie Priester, who is still out there at 1 minute 11 back from Rico Bogan and a good 2.5 minutes ahead of this pack.
I think that's why Leo looks so relaxed in the penalty box. He's like, well, I'll just, you know,
I'll just catch him again.
It's a breeze, you know. I'll just catch up to some of the fastest biking triathletes in the world right now. No biggie, no big deal. But he's made light work of it. It's fair to say. So yeah.
And then still just so fascinated to see where he's going to be at on the
Yeah.
run with the struggles he's had. We touched upon it earlier. He's had that Achilles injury that plagued him through last season, and even at the beginning of last season when he came out to Singapore, he talked about this Achilles injury and then still managed to finish second. He's then of course had him in recent months, which meant that he hasn't been able to do the running that he would have normally done. But additionally, he's got this ongoing issue of he's got a benign tumor on his spine which can't be removed because of the position that it's at, and so he has to just kind of manage his symptoms there. But at its worst, it was really affecting him. He couldn't put any power down on the bike, and so that's just such a horrible ongoing problem for him that there's only so much he can do. He just has to hope that it stays in the right position, that it's settled enough that he can continue racing, because at his best, Leo is one of the absolute best short and middle distance athletes in the world, and we love watching him race, but so difficult when you've got something like that going on as well.
Okay, well, we can get some reaction from down on the ground. Greg Welch has managed to catch up with a member of Hayden Wild's team.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Matt. And Vicky, great commentary there, yes, because Hayden is definitely one of the guys that have been taking the world by storm, not only in the Olympic distance, the middle distance, and the longer distances as well, but it wouldn't be possible without the help of, you know, people behind him and the support team. And Dr. Lawrence Van Lingen right now. And Lawrence, I've known you for a long time, and you've worked with a lot of people, Taylor Nib, and, you know, there's a whole host of athletes that you've helped over their careers. But Hayden is, you know, one of those athletes that you've been working with since the Olympics in Paris, and let us know exactly how it's been going.
Yeah, Hayden's amazing. He's just really talented, and you basically just got to help him. You don't polish up that diamond. It is a diamond. I don't know. Basically, my job's really easy with Hayden. It's just he was a little bit twisted after his crash, and when he hurt his shoulder blades, he responds like crazy to treatment, so you just line him up and he's good to go.
All right, so you talk about treatment, you talk about everything like in the sport of running as well, because running for Hayden is pretty easy. He has the second fastest ever time as a New Zealander in a 10-kilometre race with just over 27 minutes and 40 seconds, which absolutely blows my mind. But keeping a guy straight like that and healthy is very, very tricky.
Not in Hayden's case. He's really naturally talented. You know, so for some people it's tricky. For Hayden, he's just natural, and it's just really getting him to double down on what he does best. Like, he doesn't do drills. You know, we're talking about super shoes. He just figured out, oh, well, if I bounce out of these shoes, you know, that makes me better. So, like, he's a real simple guy. He's got good instinct, so he doubles down on what matters. And so, yeah, it's just a pleasure to work with.
I see him in the swim. He swims very well, not as good as the fastest guys. He bikes incredible for the size of Hayden, and I love his position on the bike. But you mentioned something very important, and it resonates with me, is the shoes that he's wearing now, and the shoes that the athletes are wearing these days are a little bit technologically advanced over the 20 years ago and 30 years ago, as you and I very well know. Explain the stack heights and explain the carbon plates throughout these shoes that give the athletes the advantage.
Well, the one thing they do is, yeah, you're further off the ground, so you got a bit better leverage. Okay, so that helps. And then the other one is, you know, you got foam that you basically trampolining in and out of. You compress the foam and then bounce back out of it. And then there's a carbon plate that you basically bend, stores elastic energy, and then helps propel you forward. And it's sort of how you use those three things to enhance your running. And it's different, because like when we used to race around in the really thin sort of racing flats, it was a different technique. You had to land softer, you had to be lighter on your feet. Now you're almost rewarded for pressing into the ground and bouncing back out. So it's a very different, almost running style.
It really is. You know, you mentioned the very thin ones. We always thought that the lighter was better, and anyway, and faster on your feet, less time spent on the ground was going to be to your advantage. However, these stack heights and the carbon plate are propelling you back into and putting the energy back into the ground. So biomechanics have always been a very important part of an athlete's progression in the sport. But biomechanics for you, you're known as the run guru, are very important at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's how I started working with Hayden. Is he was slightly sort of duck foot, and he didn't like it, and he couldn't sort of roll off his toes as well, and then helping him get his feet and his alignment better, and even getting your toes and your forefoot, which is incremental, but it all adds up in a run.
Yeah, it really does add up in the run, and that's what it's going to take today, is a very fast run for Hayden Wilde to put himself back into contention here. Rico Bogan, the 23-year-old German, just absolutely loves racing in cooler weather, and you can see that is coming to the fore today. He is absolutely powering away from the rest of the field here at the Sokin T100 San Francisco. So Hayden Wilde and Lawrence van Lingen, we're down here on the ground. We're having a good time.
Thank you very much, Greg. Fascinating to hear the thoughts of Lawrence down the ground. I think I could listen to them talk the whole time about the changes of shoes. It's such an interesting point, isn't it, that it has evolved so much, and particularly the super shoes have evolved so much in this sport.
Oh, hugely. I remember watching... I think I saw it on Instagram just yesterday. I think Jan Frodeno put on a photo, an old image of Hamburg back in the day, because there was a big race in Hamburg coming as well. And in the image, the thing that struck me the most was they were all in these old school racing flats. And it looked almost like they're wearing sort of ballet slippers, because there's nothing to them, they're so flat. And now it seems so bizarre that we would ever run in shoes that have not got, a 4 centimetre stack height or the rest of it. But the progression, even since those super shoes came in, which must be going back to about 2019 now, has been extraordinary. Version 1 to where we're at now is a different world. So yeah, big differences, and they can make a huge difference when you're running. For some people, we're talking sort of 4 seconds or more even per kilometre. That's a huge amount of free time just from wearing these shoes. I mean, I say it's free, they're incredibly expensive, so it's not free at all. But it's free in terms of the effort that you have to put in. You think how much time and effort you would put into getting those 4 seconds per kilometre in your training. I mean, Rico's spoken about how that's what he's really trying to get, a couple of seconds per kilometre. And the shoes came in and just sort of do it for you. But Rico's problem is everyone's got the same shoes, so that won't help him.
Mitigates the advantage somewhat, but yeah, it just goes to show the fine margins that these athletes are looking to, because when you're this talented, when you're this fast, those are exactly what you need, those fine margins, and you'll do anything really to get them, and to try to get the smallest of advantages going forward in your career. So not far to go until until our athletes, I should say, lace up their running shoes. Just over 10 kilometres to go. They're on the final lap of the bike course. The final time they'll have to go up this mighty steep hill in this part of the course, right by the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's a fair few descents to come after that before they're into that transition zone, and 18 kilometres to run. And worth pointing out as well, the wind just picking up. We know that the wind is coming a bit later. The forecast is for pretty still conditions for this part of the morning, but it is picking up. So we will keep our eye on those beautiful big trees just there against the backdrop of the Golden Gate Bridge, but pretty still at the moment.
Yeah, not too much wind for them to contend with. Usually this is a section as they head out along Marina Boulevard that they've got a pretty strong headwind, and then they come back flying back along with the tailwind. So on the run, they do this section on the run as well before they head into the National Parks area of Crissy Field. So once they're on their way out with the big tailwind, and then into the headwind, and then they come back with that tailwind. So yeah, and usually a factor on both bike and run, but doesn't look quite as windy as we've seen in previous years, does it?
It doesn't. I think we need to do it. We need to just do a shout out, don't we, to Lassie Nygaard Priester on T100 debut. Is currently sitting in second position and comfortably sitting in second position. What an incredible race so far from him.
Yeah, I mean, there was a huge part of me that thought he's just going all in on this. He's giving it a go, and when Rico snaps that elastic, he will get swallowed back into that pack. That absolutely hasn't happened. He is still taking time out of everyone behind him. He's got nearly 3 minutes, or 2:45 on Hayden Wild. That's a phenomenal amount of time for an athlete that we know has been running the times that he has been running. That is a phenomenal place to be. And I'm actually just looking at the race that he and Rico did recently in the south of France. In that race, Lassie got off the bike. He rode 4 minutes slower than Rico Bogan that day, but he ran nearly 4 minutes quicker.
Ooh.
So that's a big amount, and this run isn't quite as long. That was a 21-kilometer run. This is an 18-kilometer run. But that is the caliber of runner that we are looking at here with Lassie Priester. So for him coming off the bike at the moment, he's 141 down. That's just updated. He's going to take that 30-second penalty as well. So he's going to be somewhere in the region of 2:15 maybe, all in, when he comes off the bike and he has taken that penalty. I think he's going to be thinking that the race is on, that it's not done, that the win is not yet being given to Rico Bogan, and he's going to make Rico work for it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think there's an interesting question to be had here with Rico and the sort of form that Rico is in. As you mentioned, finished second in that race in the south of France. But if you go back a bit further than that, his results really did tail off in the second half of 2025, and you compare them to some of the better results he had in 2024. So it's just a big question, isn't it? What sort of Rico Bogan has turned up to San Francisco? Is it the Rico Bogan that won the race last year, or is it the Rico Bogan that struggled really to even make the podium in the second half of 2025? It's a big question. We're going to find out, which is obviously very, very
not
exciting.
Not too long to wait.
For us. Yeah, not too long to wait at all. But I think this race is very nicely poised. And of course, least we forget, we've got Hayden Wild still very much in the mix. Of course, 4 minutes 29 back at the moment, but what a phenomenal runner he is. And it might just take getting off the bike for perhaps him to feel his run legs, and perhaps to put in an incredibly fine running performance.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, looking at those athletes, so you've got Rico Bogan off the front, of course, notorious for his swim and bike. He's done the run element once or twice, as he did here last year, superbly, but other times he's really struggled to put that together. Beyond him, you've got Lassie Priester, exceptional runner, Hayden Wild, exceptional runner, Leo Berger, exceptional runner, Jake Birtwistle, exceptional runner. Any one of those can be thinking, actually, this is a gap I can overturn. If Rico falters, I can get there. You look down the field a little bit more again, the likes of Kurt McDonald, of course, Will Draper, he's been running some pretty solid times over the half distance as well, running sort of 69, 70 minutes over half marathon. You've got Justin Riale, who's just broken into the top 10 there. Not mentioned him yet at all today, but he's an athlete who, this is his home. He's from San Francisco. He's recently just moved back to the area. He grew up in and around these roads. He's ridden this course 1,000 times. He still runs on the course every Sunday. So he knows this area really well. And while he's coming back from injury, had a bike crash in his first race of the year and broke his shoulder and collarbone only 10 weeks ago. He said that he's feeling as good as he's ever felt on the bike and run, so he's hoping to deliver something. Right behind him in 11th place, we've got Morgan Pearson, and we know what Morgan can do. He's such a phenomenal runner. Something he shared with me just this week is that he's actually hoping to go to the USAT Marathon Olympic Trials. So that won't be for another year and a half or so from now. But he can auto-qualify for that with a half marathon in the next year. So he's hoping to do that. He doesn't think he's going to make the Olympic team, such as the strength of their marathon runners at the moment, but he's really hoping that he can go to those trials, because that is the caliber of runner he is. And so all these people are coming, they are gunning for Rico Bogan. So while Rico is in absolute pole position right now, it's not done.
Yeah, that is Henry Rappo unmistakably in pink, overtaking, that looks like Jake Birtwistle there, yeah, so just taking his turn at the front of this pack. I was going to say about Morgan Pearson, what a flex that would be if his half marathon time was from one of these races. Rather, yeah. I don't think that's quite possible. No, yeah, I don't think that's quite possible. But you know, I mean, stranger things have happened.
He's run, I think, a 61 half marathon as well.
Wow.
So he's an absolutely phenomenal runner, and yeah, the idea that he could put something down in a triathlon that's a bit special as well, we really could see that. And as I said, he started working with a new run coach in autumn of last year, and feels that he's got a nice group of people around him now. So we see a nice little pack of runners on the side there, actually just out for their Saturday morning run. And yeah, I think he said he's just starting to feel like himself again running. He didn't feel good through the majority of last season, but he's just starting to feel that again now. Of course, mitigated a little bit because of that injury that he's had, but yeah, I think he's going to be looking to put down a good run today.
He's a really good follow on Instagram, is Morgan Pearson. I mean, it
he's
will
hilarious.
Yeah, it will make you feel well, I don't know, you know, watching the sort of sessions that he does on a daily basis. Obviously, you can never compare yourself to a professional triathlete, someone who dedicates their entire life to doing what they do, but my goodness me, some of the sessions that you see him doing on his treadmill in the middle of winter as well, you're like, oh my goodness me.
I'm never sure how much is hyperbole for the views
and
think? All the rest of it. I think he's a bit of a wind-up merchant as well.
Sprays himself with sweat before he gets on the treadmill, yeah.
Oh no, I mean there's no question he can do pretty exceptional things when he's running as well, but yeah, I think some things he puts online he does for effect as well.
Yeah, that's all part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your Strava stats.
Yeah, that's
it. Just as important as what you actually do out on the course.
So that's Jake Birtwistle again on his final lap of the course as well, and yeah, he's now just touching 5 minutes behind the lead, but as we've said, he's right where he would like to be with Hayden Wild, Leo Berger, Kurt McDonald. They're still riding together along with Henry Rappo as a group of 5. So any one of them is going to fancy their chances of getting onto the podium, I think.
Yeah, they certainly are. Disappointing race there for Henry Rappo, just ahead in the pink. I mean, in Singapore, I should say. I mean, he made a YouTube video that was entitled "The Longest 4 Hours of My Career," which
he said he didn't find a single step of the run enjoyable or easy. I think was his words.
Doesn't take a genius to work out that he didn't enjoy that part of the race.
No, he said the swim, he almost took it really easy because of the conditions. Again, we've spoken about it a million times, but that water was horribly hot. So he really controlled things when it came into the swim, and then he was okay on the bike, he said, but when he got onto the run, just not a single minute of that did he find easy. Longest 4 hours of his life. I think that was actually the title of the video as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, extraordinary. But good to see him back on the T100 start list. We haven't put him off for life. Singapore, just one of those incredibly unique races. But the man on your screen, Jake Birtwistle, he had a hugely challenging swim in Singapore. But let's get the thoughts of Jake Birtwistle and how he's approaching this race.
Like I've raced a few times already this year now, and I feel like each time there's been some different positives to take away. I still think I'm probably missing that complete race. We're putting together a good swim, bike and run. Like Singapore for me, the bike was a little off, and some of the other races this year, my run hasn't been quite up to standard. So yeah, that's I guess the beauty of triathlon. There's so much to it. There's always something that can kind of either go wrong or go very right. Yeah, I'm really confident with how the training's been going, and obviously with these few races in the lead up, I've kind of ticked every box. Now I kind of just need to hopefully put it all together this weekend.
Yeah, you can really mark the improvement of Jake Birtwistle's season. He had 3 17th places on the T100 last year, which is kind of quite hard to do, I think. Yeah. So it seems quite a difficult place to finish at the best of times, but he got 3 of those and finished 7th in Wollongong, but 6th in Singapore. Has been spending a lot of time over the winter working on his bike. That was identified as a key weakness for him. He said at no point in 2025 would I have been able to ride like I did today. He thinks he's around 30 watts higher in the 2026 season than
And
he
that's
was,
huge.
which is massive, isn't it, to improve over the winter?
That's a huge improvement, and that's why he's able to do exactly what he's doing right now and ride with the likes of Leo Berger and Hayden Wild. Like, he would not have been able to do that a year ago, and he did come to this race last year and hoped to show that he had arrived in the T100, and it didn't happen for him on that day, and he really did feel that he just found out the level that he was at in respect to those other top players too. And I think in hindsight, he possibly made a bit of an error. He went back to Tasmania in between the San Francisco and the Vancouver races, but that was only a 2-week turnaround, I think. So that probably didn't set him up for the best day in Vancouver. But this year, he's on the series. He started well. He's got the luxury of therefore knowing that he's going to get into other races and that he can plan his season around that. And he's done a lot of work again on his TT bike. As we said, 30-watt improvement. That's the sort of thing that you dream of as an athlete, especially a professional. To make that kind of jump, it's huge. And so to be able to stand on a start line feeling like you've really made those inroads and that you're now going to be able to compete with the very best, that's a huge boost for your confidence.
Yeah, it certainly is. And he's obviously got the magic ingredient. Whatever he's done over the winter has definitely been working.
He's self-coached now, he told me. So he was working with a coach last year, but since about February this year, he's decided to take it on himself. And he's always been an athlete who trains quite a lot by himself because he lives in Tasmania, doesn't live in the sort of more triathlon populated areas of Australia, further up the coast, more sort of Gold Coast area, Noosa. Those tend to be the areas where triathletes congregate due to the weather and the great conditions. He lives in Tasmania instead, and always goes back there to his training base and seems to really thrive off it.
So Rico Bogan at the front of this race has made his way onto the flat section of the course. No more hills for Rico. He'll be pleased to see, or pleased to, maybe he won't be, maybe he's obviously done so well on the hills on this part of the course. He's once again made light work of such a challenging bike course, but that is the standard of Rico Bogan and the quality of him as a cyclist and as a triathlete. And we'll wait with bated breath to see exactly what he's got on the run leg. And it's going to be an exciting prospect watching him being chased down by Lasse Nygaard Priester, Leo Berger, Hayden Wild, Henry Rappo, Kurt MacDonald, Jake Birtwistle, Morgan Pearson, all not far behind. But interestingly, Vicky, that gap has now gone over 5 minutes.
It has, yeah.
Between
It's just
Hayden
jumped
Wild
out,
and
hasn't
Rico Bogan, 5:23 at the last count. I think if you'd asked Rico Bogan, would you like 5 minutes 23 between yourself and Hayden Wild at the start of the day, he probably would have said, okay, thank you very much.
I'll take that. Thank you ever so much. Yes. I'll see you out there on the run course. I mean, this is a bigger gap than he had to pretty much anyone last year. This gap he's going to have back to Lasse Priester is similar to the gap he had last year, but this is a huge gap as he comes into transition here, and if anything is going to fire him up to lay down one of his best ever runs, it's surely the taste that a second T100 victory could be around the corner for him.
Yeah, huge amount on the line here for Rico Bogan. Like I say, fantastic piece of the puzzle already done, already ticked off. He's done 80 kilometers on the bike. He's just got one final U-turn to do at the end of this straight. The crowd's out in force. Plenty of them, I'm sure, will be taking part in the Sokin Escape from Alcatraz tomorrow. And they'll be watching something pretty special in front of their very eyes right now. The final U-bend of this course, as Rico just starts to think about taking his feet outside of his cycling shoes, I should say. Final bit of acceleration as he makes his way into the second transition zone. He'll lace up his running shoes. 18 kilometers, 4 laps of this run course await. It's fast, it's flat, it's a gravel surface, but don't forget there's a nasty breeze going towards the Golden Gate Bridge. So all to be decided, but Rico Bogan dismounts off the bike onto the blue carpet of the transition zone, and we'll keep an eye, Vicky, on how smooth this transition is.
I mean, it's such a luxury, isn't it, to go in on your own, not to have the carnage of other people in their bikes when you get there. Straight into his racking port there. helmet into the box. Probably no ice going over the head today, I would imagine. We see that a lot of the other races when it's hot, but not necessary at this race. Very swiftly into his shoes and off he goes. Wasted absolutely no time getting out onto the run course, and he will have the benefit now of running along Marina Boulevard and knowing that he might well not even see another athlete by the time he pulls off onto Chrissy Fields.
Yeah, think how dispiriting this would be if you were on the bike and you're about to pass Rico Bogan with his running shoes on. That will just go to show the level of the challenge that's ahead.
And probably even worse if you don't. So if you're one of these guys, Leo Berger, Hayden Wild, they could be coming down into transition and not passing, which means they know he is already in the national park area of the run. So he's a long way in front of these guys.
Yeah, and there you go. You can just see Hayden Wild overtaking Leo Berger. So he's now best of that kind of second group behind Lasse, Nygaard, Priester. He's taking the initiative. He knows the task at hand. Of course, our 2025 T100 World Champion. Yes, he's under the weather, but he won't enjoy seeing Rico Bogan with such a big lead. And he'll be doing everything in his power to stop Rico Bogan taking the win here in San Francisco. But it's going to be an almighty challenge. We've got some excellent runners, though, in the field who really could take the fight to Rico Bogan. And he's moving pretty well, Vicky, I'd say. He seems to be starting this run in decent shape.
He's definitely moving all right, and he doesn't have to do anything special. That's the luxury of the position that he's in right now. To pretty much anybody else on this course, he doesn't have to run the very best he's ever run, but he does have to watch out for this man, Lasse Priester, who is just coming into transition now. There we go, leg off the bike, off in front of that red line. That's the dismount line. As long as you've got a foot on the floor, by the time you hit that line, you are okay. And this would be interesting. Where is he taking his penalty? Does he take it? I'm never sure if it's actually in transition or first time he's passed the penalty box on the run, but he's got that 30-second penalty to take. That was for equipment outside of his box. I believe he dropped his swim hat on his way to transition, which seems almost cruel when his hands were probably so cold he couldn't feel anything. But he has got a penalty to take, and so he's not taking it there, which must mean it's out once he gets out onto the run.
Just trying to get that
lace just in.
There we go.
Worth doing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely worth doing.
So he is off out on the run and to chase down Rico Bogan. So 2 minutes 33 the gap at the start of the run. Remember that, because that is the time difference between Lasse, Nygaard, Priester and Rico Bogan that they're going to try, or that Lasse is going to try and chase Rico down with. It sounds like an insurmountable task, but it's been done before. We know that they were very, very close when they most recently raced in the south of France just a short while ago. So it's possible. And if I were you, I would not go anywhere. I think this is going to go right to the wire.
So Lasse Priester out on the run. He's a lovely looking runner, very, very smooth. He's running into a headwind right now, it's worth mentioning as well. But he said to me his aim for the day was to stay in as close contact with the leaders as possible through the swim and bike and then unleash on the run. I wonder if he's even a bit surprised himself with how far up the field he has finished that bike leg, because he has stayed pretty close to the leaders, and there is only one of them, and that's Rico Bogan. Everyone else in that field, athletes that he will have raced time and time again in short course, the likes of Hayden Wild and Leo Berger, Jake Birtwistle, Morgan Pearson, he's taken minutes and minutes out of them, and he knows the way he's running at the moment. He's probably going to run similarly to them as well. So what a position he finds himself in.
Yeah. He is in pole position here to take the fight to Rico Bogan. And it won't be long until we see that second group of Hayden Wild, Leo Berger, Henry Rappo as well come into the second transition area. Put their bikes down, lace up the running shoes and get on to this 18-kilometre run. And you can see there, just on the right-hand side, everyone going about their business here in San Francisco, just coming up to 9 o'clock local time here. And Rico Bogan will be breezing past a lot of these runners. Yeah. It will be a humbling experience, I dare say, for a lot of people running next to the great Rico Bogan.
Be awkward if it was the other way around, though.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah,
that wouldn't be very nice for one of the professionals to be running along and have someone
gone very wrong.
Yeah, on their day
Rico.
out.
Yeah, exactly that. But that is Hayden Wild, I think, just ahead. Yeah, so Hayden Wild enters the transition zone. He's got over 5 minutes, 5 minutes 40, 5 minutes 35, I should say, at the last count to make up ahead of Rico Bogan. So a big task at hand for our 2025 T100 World Champion. Leo Berger there.
Looking a little bit more ginger, doesn't he?
Quite gingerly, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, Hayden certainly flew through transition a little bit better than Leo did there.
And this change, perhaps getting off the bike, could be exactly what Hayden needs, just to give himself a bit of a zip of energy, something a bit different, and get the heart rate a bit higher.
That's it, get himself into a bit of a flow. But worth mentioning, we've speculated a little bit about the wind. We know that this is the headwind section. We're hearing that there are some pretty strong gusts out there, actually, sort of 15-mile-an-hour gusts on this section, on this headwind section of the run. So that's not to be sniffed at either. And as if it wasn't enough that they're competing this 100-kilometre course and that they're running across this gravel after those meaty hills, 1,000 metres of climbing in total, they're now facing 15-mile-an-hour gusts as they do this as well.
Just to make it even
That's
harder.
That's it, yeah. We don't like to give them an easy ride.
No, we certainly don't. I wonder if Rico Bogan knows about Lasse Nygaard Priester's penalty. We obviously we don't know. No. But I mean that's an interesting
Here he comes.
Maybe he'll tell him as he passes him on the out and back section here. But yeah, there's an awful lot of little things to go here in this race, as we can see someone trying to get onto the run course and then getting it swiftly off it, and a few dogs as well.
Hopefully the dogs stay a little bit, closer to their owners, and we're not dodging dogs out on the course as well. I think that's the last thing that any of these athletes need. But there you go, Hayden just putting on all his bits and pieces. He's putting on a headband. He's got his watch. And, you can obviously do this while you're out on the run. It's just a bit harder to do it. It's much easier to do these things when you're stood in transition, but it saves time if you can do them swiftly and smoothly once you're out on course. And Hayden just showing us that he is a master at doing that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were going to see the return of the bucket hat with a hole in the top. But yes, maybe for a slightly warmer race. So that's back in transition. Yeah, Jason West just coming in there. I think that's Justin Riale, yeah, in the yellow, just going out.
Going out, yeah.
As well. So
that's Sam Appleton as well, heading out onto the run.
Yeah, so just come in, Kurt MacDonald, Henry Rappo, Jake Birtwistle, Will Draper, Gregor Payet, Morgan Pearson, Justin Riale, all now through the second transition zone. So the next time they come back on the blue carpet will be the end of this race. Incredible drone shots here, just gives you a sense really of the stunning surroundings that our athletes are racing on. But a gravel path, Vicky, which is obviously different perhaps to what they were racing on in San Francisco, in Singapore, I should say, a much harder concrete surface there. And what are the challenges of gravel that the athletes are going to encounter?
Well, personally, I would have hated this. I much prefer, the hard-packed concrete, the tarmac, to sort of get the maximum amount of reaction off. But, and there we go, we're just seeing Lasse Priester crossing over with Rico Bogan. So that's the first time on the run they'll have had eyes on one another as Lasse goes out to the turnaround point and Rico comes back in. But they will know that with gravel, it sounds obvious to say, but those little loose stones, they will move underneath your feet, and that's just an extra element. It means it's not quite as fast as running on concrete is. It also means, I know last year in this race and also in Vancouver, some of the athletes were finding that those little stones and even some of the bigger ones were getting stuck underneath in the sort of tread underneath their shoes. And it might have played into shoe choice as to the particular style of shoe that they've chosen to wear, because they don't want to have that discomfort of feeling that every stride when they hit the floor. But yeah, it's a different feel to the race running on gravel. As your foot goes down, you can feel the sort of crunch, the slide as they go from as a little stone's move. And that was Morgan Pearson just coming around the corner there. Gregor
Two
Payet.
rapid runners in Morgan Pearson and Jason West. My goodness me.
I think that's Will Draper.
Oh, sorry, that's
just
Will
in front
Draper,
of
isn't
him,
it? Yeah.
just in front of him as well.
Saw the red and white.
But Jason West is only
He's not far back,
about
is he?
20 seconds behind those as well.
Yeah.
So we could have some real sort of run packs forming here.
Yeah. So there we go. That's Rico Bogan crossing Hayden Wild.
And that's going to be the first time Hayden sees the size of the challenge in front of him, gets full eyes on Rico and realises he's still got a couple of minutes to go until he hits that turnaround point.
You half expect Rico's heart rate just to jump up a little bit, seeing Hayden running. But Hayden looks good, I think. He's also moving pretty well. And it'll be interesting to see some of his timing splits, obviously, as the run progresses. But yeah, like you say, Vicky, that's a real pack, isn't it? A real chasing pack coming for Rico Bogan and Lassie Nygaard-Priester.
That's right, there is a good group coming from behind. Leo Berger still running pretty well. Again, we've spoken about the injury woes, the health problems that Leo's had, and turning up here of really not much running at all. Only about 2-3 tempo sessions he says he's done before he comes here, but he's such a classy athlete. Can he get away with it? Can he turn up here and still contend for the podium as someone who's just not been able to do the running over the last, up to 4 months, he said?
He certainly doesn't know. And we don't know in the commentary box either, but it's going to be mighty interesting to find out. And just thinking here about Rico's tactics for this part of the race, I mean, in his wildest dreams, I don't think he would have thought he'd have 2:33 to Lassie Nygaard-Priester, and then also a further 5.5 minutes back. 5.5 minutes back to Hayden Wild. But
so that's second and third just crossing over there with Hayden Wild coming towards us and Lassie Priester running back. So Lassie Priester's got the nice tailwind section whilst Hayden is still battling his way out to the turnaround point.
But how does Rico Bogan approach this? Does he run his own race? Does he try and run the speeds that he thinks he knows he can run at this stage of the race? Or is he must have half an eye on who's behind him?
Oh, he will of course know who's coming and where they're at and the time gaps. But right now, his best bet is to just do his thing, run as well as he thinks he can. He can run freely because he's got that nice buffer. He can actually afford to kind of be a bit more relaxed maybe than he might be at some times. I think as you get further on in the race and the further deeper into the run when things start to get hard, if it was me, I would start calculating. I would start going, I've got this much time. That means it's these many seconds per kilometre that they have to run faster than me if they were to catch, and start working on that basis. Kind of assume, okay, they're running this pace, I'm running this pace. How much time can I lose? And those are the sort of calculations I'd be trying to run. They're also good for distracting you from pain if you're, doing maths in your head at the same time as well.
It's hard to do maths in your head at the best of times, but doing it when your heart rate's in zone 5 is also
and your legs are screaming at you. And
exactly, yeah. It's a difficult ask, but obviously these are the very best in the world at what they do, and they will have had some conversations with their coaches, of course, before this. They will have had I'm sure, a few scenarios that they will have tried to have worked through in their head. But these are great shots of all of our athletes coming through. So yeah, there you go. Jason West just starting to come up to this group, one of our fastest runners on the T100, and you can sense the pain, can't you, in their faces. And actually, Justin Riali there just being smart and trying to run in the shield, as it were, of the athlete in front.
Yeah, Jason West is in a bit of an unfamiliar position, actually, because he does come from behind on the run quite often, but I don't think he's used to being quite this close to other athletes that early on, to that pack. So having all those athletes there, that'll be incredibly motivating. He'll know there's a lot of places up for grabs, but certainly didn't look like he was doing it easy, did he? Definitely had a bit of pain etched across his face, even at this early point on the run. But Rico here, back on Marina Boulevard, back on the tarmac section, heading back to the U-turn. That'll be the end of lap 1. We've, of course, got 4 laps of 4.45 kilometres each, totaling 18 kilometres, and he will be absorbing those cheers and really trying to use them to keep himself moving forward. He's doing a brilliant job at the moment. We'll wait for the updated time split at the end of lap 1. We'll wait to see when Lassie Nygaard-Priester is going to take his penalty. There's so much still to unfold, But right now, things looking very good for this man.
Yeah, so now that is Rico Bogan heading into the wind, which is definitely a trickier part of the course and will change the dynamics entirely.
It must feel brutal as well. You've just flown back with that tailwind, and then you have to turn and grind your way back out there, and no, you've got to do that 3 more times. So yeah, pretty tough going there for Rico, but I am sure that the carrot of what he could achieve here, going back to back at the Sokin T100 San Francisco, is enough to take away some of that pain, because the joy that he showed when he finished here last year, when he won and took that tape, finally getting the top step, I think he's hungry for that again.
Yeah, going back to back would be so impressive for Rico Bogan, especially after the year that he had last year. It was a tough year after the win in 2025, and being able to come back your first race of 2026 on the T100 would be super impressive. So that is Lasse Nygaard-Priester. That is the gap, and you can see
checked his watch.
Rico Bogan checking his watch, knowing exactly the task at hand.
So that will give him the most accurate and up-to-date timing split. He'll have had a quick look at his watch when he went round that U-turn for the start of the lap, and then he will have looked again, as we saw, just when he went past Lasse Priester, and then he'll have doubled whatever that says and gone, right, that's my gap, and he'll know what he's got to do, or how close that gap's got within a lap, and from that he'll be able to sort of extrapolate and go, actually I'm on track to hold on here, or conversely, I'm not on track to hold on here and he's coming for me pretty fast.
Well, the biggest danger as well for Rico Bogan here is going out too quickly, right? Is burning your matches too early, because he doesn't need to. At the moment, the gap is such that he can afford to run slower than Lasse Nygaard-Priester, but
he knows what Lasse Nygaard-Priester can do. They've obviously had this head-to-head in previous races just a few weeks ago in the south of France, and he will know that on his day, Lasse's capable of running 4 minutes in Tim over a half marathon distance. Now we're 3 kilometers less than that, so you take a little bit of time off for that, but he knows what this guy is capable of, and he'll be running scared. So having just had that time check, I think we're going to get a little update in a second. It was at 2:22. Hasn't yet updated, so it might have stayed exactly the same. If it has, that's very, very good for Rico Bogan.
It's fast for Rico, though, isn't it?
It is. And is he being scared into running a bit too fast? That's also a question.
Yeah, exactly that.
Or did Lasse Priester put so much into that bike ride to try and get that gap on the rest of the field and hold on to Rico as best as he could? Is that, affecting his run legs a little bit?
Yeah. 18 kilometers is still a decent distance to have to run after such an intense bike leg. The bike leg here, of course, in San Francisco, one of the toughest that we see all year on the T100. Over 1,000 meters of elevation gain are in the legs currently of Rico Bogan, of Lasse Nygaard-Priester as well. So this is going to be tough. This is going to be brutal. And as easy as it might look right now, not that it even does look that easy for the likes of Rico Bogan, it's going to be an interesting thing to see exactly how this unfolds over the next 12 or so kilometers. And of course, across the year, all of our athletes are competing in the race to Qatar. They're earning points in all of these races. Every point does in fact mean prizes in the race to Qatar.
History waits at the finish line. There's everything to play for.
So it's an athlete's 3 best scores across the season, plus what they score in the grand final in Qatar, which will determine where they finish. And of course, whoever finishes at the top of the race to Qatar will become our T100 World Champion. And my goodness me, there are some fast runners out on this course right now, Vicky.
There really are, and it's sort of no surprise, is it, to see that man there, well, it's not the man on screen, I should say, the man on the top of the information pylon there is Morgan Pearson, running 3:12 per kilometre at the moment. And this man who is on screen, Hayden Wild, is also on that pylon at 3:15 per kilometre, because this is not the fastest of run courses. We do have that really quite strong headwind that they have to contend with, and running on the gravel is never as fast as running on the tarmac or the concrete. So, you know, this is not the absolute fastest of run courses, and they're still laying down some pretty impressive times and paces.
Yeah, they really are. That gap is starting to come down, Vicky, excitingly. Not by much, but as we say, there's a long way to go, 12 kilometres.
So that in the background there, that's actually Henry Schoeman. So we've got Henry Schoeman, who is not having the day that he would hope. I know that he's definitely been keen to put all three disciplines together. Feels like he's ready to show what he's made of at this distance. And I'm not sure what's happened out there on the bike today, but it's definitely not been his day so far. So there we go. That's our side-on view of Rico Bogan. Always has quite a strong lean, Rico, I always think, sort of leans forward really well. It's a very efficient way of running if you can do it. I always really struggled. I was much more sort of upright and bouncing, but he's very good at kind of using gravity to his advantage and leaning forward as he runs. But right now, things are looking very good for him. I mean, that gap now, 2 minutes and 16, so it is coming down, it's creeping down. But we know Priest has got that penalty to take, and you've got to wonder, you've got to hope he knows he's got that penalty to take, because should he not take it and cross the finish line, he will be disqualified from the race. So he has to take that penalty at some point before he crosses the finish. Yeah,
hopefully he's got a few people out on course who've been giving him timing splits, but also might remind him of that very fact, because that's certainly on T100 debut with such an amazing performance. The last thing we'd want to do is see him disqualified. But yeah, this is very finely poised, I would say, and just over 12 kilometres. There's an awful long way to go in this race, as Rico Bogan still in the lead as things stand ahead of Lasse Nygaard Priester. But do not go anywhere. This is anything but done yet. And interestingly, this battle that we're currently seeing on screen now, the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, between Hayden Wild, between Jake Birtwistle, between Leo Bougere. There's some huge talent in there. We've got Olympic medalists. We've got a silver Olympic medalist in Hayden Wild there. These are really exceptional athletes. They're going to be laying it all on the line, giving their all to finish as high up as possible here at the Sokin T100 San Francisco.
Good running, Will. T12, pick them off. Well done, mate. Well done.
So Rico Bogan just at the furthest, pretty much the furthest possible part of the course, but now the wind behind his back, and that grimace we're starting to see.
He started early with the grimace, isn't he?
We're used to seeing it in the back end of the of runs for Rico Bogan, but he looks like, certainly facially, he looks like he's struggling, but I remember thinking exactly the same thing this time last year.
There we go. Lasse Priester just crossed him in the other direction again. So, again, quick check of the watch from Rico Bogan. I think he'll be happy with what he's seeing right now. I think right now he's going to be thinking, I'm in pain, but he's having to work hard, and he is not catching me as quickly as he has done in previous races. That looks good for Rico Bogan, but that pain on his face, it's telling a story, isn't it? And he's got to try and hold strong. He's got to try and keep moving forward if he wants to take this second victory here. Yeah, it's so finely poised, I would say. And we certainly look forward to seeing more of that grimacing from Rico Bogan in the coming kilometres. But stunning day here in San Francisco. Beautiful blue skies, but it's a very different game when you're down there, when you're competing. To be successful on the T100, you really do have to go to the edge of what your body is capable of.
Can we get medical potentially for yesterday?
body and not having a very good moment. Something's not gone right for him there in his back. Oh, and now he's stopping.
No.
He's out, so he's now walking off the course.
Yeah, there's been plenty of moments over the last few years where we have seen our athletes go to the well and back, and yeah, it looks like today is going to be no different. You can scan that QR code on your screen. That will take you to t100triathlon.com/Vancouver, where you can have a look at all the details for the upcoming race there. We're going to be there in the middle of August, the 15th and 16th of August, in fact. And yeah, plenty of opportunities still to race with us on the T100 in 2026.
Just taking the opportunity to have a little bit of a look down on our timing screens and see who's moving through fastest. And you know, Jason West has moved up 5 places on the run so far. Jake Birtwistle's moved up 3 places. He's in 4th, just behind Hayden Wild at the moment. So. Well, I say just behind. Hayden's actually opened up about a 1:10 gap on Jake Birtwistle behind him. So whatever has been ailing him on the bike doesn't seem to be ailing him in the same way on the run. So at the moment, it looks like Hayden is doing what he needs to do to hit the podium to get another solid result for the season. We know that he's actually not intending to be at the French Riviera race, so he really wanted to be here and have a strong result that gives him a great shot of still winning and retaining that world title. But he didn't want to have to go to French Riviera with his racing schedule. He wanted to give that one a miss. So right now he's doing what he needs to do for that. But, you know, at 5:12 down, he's not going to catch Rico Bogan. It is down to this, well, it's not down to this man, sorry, that's Jake Birtwistle. It is down to Lassie Nigar-Priester. He is the one that can do the damage. He's the one that can take that gap in. There we go. He is on screen just at the top going in the opposite direction. That was Lassie Nigar-Priester. He is the one we've got our eyes on to try and rein in Rico Bogan.
I hope they're going to take it in turns on the way back. We're obviously running into a headwind here, so just trying to be smart about it, trying to use each other as a bit of a shield. It's a sensible racing move in this part of the course, but that is Leo Berger just running with Jake Birtwistle. I also wonder, Vicky, if now Hayden's off the bike, he's got through that part of the race, right? He now has the ability to work out what his body is capable of for the next 18 kilometres. It was just getting off the bike that he had to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a long day out there, isn't it? You don't know how you're going to feel in any element of the race, especially when you've just not been very well. And I said it earlier on, I felt like that swim was indicative of the fact that he just isn't quite right today. That bike, again, it was by no means bad. It was just a fraction off, a couple of percentage points off where we would normally expect to see him. And then he's hit the run, and I think he's feeling good enough to put that gap down on the other athletes that were chasing for the podium, the likes of Jake Birtwistle and Leo Berger. But there are other fast athletes coming from behind, so he has to keep that pressure on a little bit on the run if he wants to deliver a podium today, because with the likes of Jason West and, of course, Morgan Pearson coming from behind, yeah, he's really going to have to keep that pace going. He can't afford to just relax and cruise it in too much to get a 3rd place, which would of course be a great score on the board for his overall series hopes. He's got to keep the pressure on now.
Yeah, a 3rd place would absolutely give him a brilliant set of points to head into the race to Qatar with come the end of the season. And he'll very much have that at the forefront of his mind as he's entering the pain phase of this race. And there he is, Hayden Wild. Very, very distinctive running style. Just putting his gel, I think, back in his pocket. But yeah, interesting.
Handy, these tri-suits, aren't they? Got pockets for everything.
They've thought of everything.
Yeah.
But there you go, fastest laps, Morgan Pearson 14:16, Jason West 14:20, and Hayden Wild 14:21. So they are the fastest athletes out on the course. And just my attention's just drawn to the top left there. Now under 2 minutes. That is the gap between Rico Bogan and Lassie Nigar-Priester. It is coming down. It's coming down perhaps not quite as quickly as Lasse would want, but
yeah,
that's assuming that Rico keeps running at this pace.
Well, this is it. It's not coming down at the pace that it needs to if they're both going to run even pace, of course. But once that gap gets under 1 minute, if he can get it down to under 1 minute, that's when you get in the territory of, okay, if he falters, I can pounce. Because a minute can be eaten up so fast if someone starts to struggle, if they blow a bit, if they start to get into gastric distress, if there's a cramp, anything like that, that gap will go so fast and Lassie can pounce for the win. So if I was him, I'd be just trying to focus on the next 500 meters, the next 500 meters. Let's just try and get that gap down a few more seconds. And if he can get it under a minute, that's when it's game on.
Yeah, there he was, just passing Rico Bogan. Such a brilliant part of this course, being able to visually see exactly where your competitors are on the course, and that will either give you a huge amount of encouragement or it will give you an awful lot to think about for the next however long until you see them again. Rico, he does just look like he's such an interesting running style, isn't it? When you compare it to the smooth nature of Hayden Wild, perhaps, or like the man on your screen there, Lasse Nygaard-Priester, such different running styles.
Yeah,
but,
it's really different.
Both get the job done, I guess.
They do. They absolutely do. Yeah, Lassie does look very relaxed there, doesn't he? Very relaxed through, like, just the I think it's more the leg action really that's most relaxed. He's, I guess, a little bit tight through the shoulders, but hey, aren't we all? Especially at this point in a race. But very smooth stride, especially. Rico's always and he sort of bounces on the outside of his toes, but he has got that forward lean that we spoke about earlier, which is, you know, always really useful if you can employ that into your running style. But yeah, there we go. The gap is still 158, 159. That's a big gap that Lasse Nygaard-Priester has got to overcome. But he will have eyes, of course, on Hayden Wild, who's behind him. So Hayden Wild is 3 minutes down on him. Lassie's got to take that 30-second penalty at some point as well. So whilst that's a nice buffer, again, he doesn't want to rest up or ease up or just go, oh, I've got second here. Like, he still needs to keep on pushing, get as close to Rico as possible, put the pressure on Rico, make Rico make the mistake. That's what he needs to do. And in doing so, he'll guarantee that at worst he's going to finish second, because let's never write off what Hayden Wild might do. Yeah, well, exactly. You know, if it wasn't Hayden Wild behind him, you'd say his attention would be wholly on Rico Bogan, but yes, because he knows the quality. It's coming from both angles, isn't it?
He's in a very talented sandwich in Rico Bogan and Hayden Wild, and he's got to keep his eye just as much on the front as he does just behind him as well. But look, he's moving well. If anyone can do it, I think Lasse Nygaard-Priester is the athlete today that could do it. And yeah, it's setting us up for a fantastic final 8 kilometers of this race. So, Lasse Nygaard-Priester making his way onto the gravel part of this course. He's on the 3rd lap of 4, and that is Hayden Wild. So that is the gap. That's what 3 minutes looks like in T100. That is the gap that Hayden Wild has to make up to Lasse. That is huge. I mean, even as talented and as fast as Hayden Wild is, I just don't see how he makes that gap up. But he does have a penalty. Lasse Nygaard-Priester does have a penalty. So take 30 seconds off that gap, and, well, that might just be surmountable if you are Hayden Wild, but only if.
Yeah, you've got to wonder what Hayden Wild's ploy is here, or his plan is. So he's developed that nice gap over Leo Berger, Jacob Birtwistle behind, and even the charging Pearson and West. They're a good couple of minutes behind him now. So he's got a pretty nice buffer in 3rd place. Is he pushing, still thinking there's a chance here if I keep going that I'm going to move further up? Or is he sort of shut it down and put it into cruise control and gone, I haven't been well, I can still sign off a 3rd place, and I can do it with causing the least amount of damage to my body, meaning that I can recover and hit other races that are coming in really great shape? Because that's the danger. If you've been a bit ill, you put yourself really deep in a race like this, and it makes you more ill. Your recovery is so hampered that you just can't back it up, and you can't get to other races in the shape that you want to. So there's a part of me that wonders if, as well as we're seeing him run right now, maybe he's almost gone into cruise control. Yeah,
injury risk going forward. It's a long season, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Particularly when you're one of the very best athletes in the world, like Hayden Wild is. Well, if you're watching this and you like what you see and you want to join us on the T100, there are plenty of ways to get involved. Here's how you can do it.
The finish. This is where it all ends. One line, one roar, one final step. Some chase seconds, some chase limits, some chase the challenge. Different journeys, same iconic course, same finish. And this is where your T100 journey begins.
And here in San Francisco tomorrow, we've got the Sokin Escape from Alcatraz, which is just a fantastic race, a bucket list race for triathletes all around the world. It's going to be a very exciting day for everyone taking part. Good luck to everybody taking part. If you are doing so, wrap up warm is probably the advice, I think, on the basis of this morning, going into that water. And once you're out the water, try to warm up. But yeah, an incredible challenge, and really can't wait to follow that tomorrow. And you can scan that QR code on your screen if you want to find your race. That will take you to t100triathlon.com/participate.
So we're back with Rico Bogan still leading this race. That gap back to second place is down to 1 minute and 50 seconds. So it's coming down. It is still coming down. But at this point, things still look really good for Rico Bogan. He's now deep into lap 3 of 4 on the run. And it is that man there running towards us, Lassie Priester. He is the only man now that stands in the way of Rico Bogan going back-to-back and winning his second ever T100 back-to-back here in San Francisco.
If Lassie does catch up with Rico and the gap is less than 30 seconds, that is going to be the most expensive swim cap,
isn't it,
he's ever possibly
having
left on the floor.
cold hands or whatever it was that caused that as he came out.
Oh,
of
I
the
don't
water.
think I have the heart to see that happen.
know.
I mean, you know, if he is to make the pass on Rico, or at least get up next to him, my goodness me, I hope it's 30 seconds.
Yeah.
He'll rue that.
That's the kind of drama we're after, right?
It really is.
Wait
it
till
really is.
he can overtake him. He can get about 30 seconds and take his penalty on the final lap, and we'll get another sprint down the grass to the finish chute. That's, you know, I'm manifesting that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but what an impressive performance this is. Oh, there they go, past each other.
Check of the watch, is it?
Maybe a check of the
didn't look
watch.
that time, or
I
not
don't
straight
even know
away.
if Rico looked up there to even notice that Lasso was coming past him. But yeah.
I think no matter which way this finishes, though, you've got to be impressed by both of these athletes.
100%.
You've got Rico Bogan, who has not performed at this level in 12 months. He's not shown a complete performance like this in a full year. And to come back to this race that's so special to him and holds those memories, not just on the race course, but off the race course, getting engaged here as well. And to deliver again, that is incredibly impressive. And for Lassie Priester, his debut T100, coming back from a near career-ending health problem, having what we were originally told was a heart attack. It's kind of a heart problem. I'm not sure we'd say it was a heart attack, but he was basically told at one point he might not come back to the sport. He has obviously since been able to do that, but you know, just to be able to be in that position now of coming in on his debut, to be able to get onto the podium is phenomenal.
Yeah, it just goes to show, doesn't it, the kind of the journey of these athletes. I mean
Sam Appleton, sorry, just in a penalty box there, must have had a T2 infringement, I think.
So there we go. We'll try and find out exactly what that was for. Just
Cheeky
about
little smile there.
putting a smile on his face.
Rueful, perhaps.
But interestingly, look, I mean, this is where actually on the run, if you're smart about it, you can use this to recover, can't you? And actually be able to come back out on the run course with your heart rate a bit lower. Use it as an opportunity to fuel.
Yeah, that's right. He's taken that penalty. He's back out on the run course just as Justin Riali heads towards him. Those two got a little bit of a friendly rivalry, actually, so I think he'll be quite pleased to get back out on that run course ahead of him.
Yeah, fantastic performance this so far from Justin Riali. He slipped back actually a little bit from where he was on the bike, but now as a full professional. This time last year he was at this race as an amateur, doing sort of it semi-pro as it were, and decided just before Oceanside this year he was going to become a professional athlete. That was cruelly, in fact, really the race where he got his injury, and it was basically been nine weeks or so between then and now to get back to race shape, and really good to see him.
Hey?
Yeah, absolutely brutal. Been doing 20,000 yards of paddling, I believe, or kicking.
A lot of single arm swimming that he's done. A lot of time on the turbo, and yeah,
huge commitment.
All credit to him.
All credit to him indeed. But across the year, our athletes are taking part in the race to Qatar.
History waits at the finish line. There's everything to play for.
And just mentioning some of those athletes, you know, who are a little bit further back. I mean, every single place is worth fighting for here in these races. $725,000 on the line in the grand final. That will be distributed amongst the athletes in the race to Qatar.
And this is a really interesting point on screen. So right now we've got the athlete leading towards us. That's Morgan Pearson. He's run through a good minute or so on the athletes behind him to put himself into 4th place. But he's taken Kurt MacDonald with him. So Kurt MacDonald came off the bike with Jake Birtwistle, with Leo Berger, with Hayden Wild, and was behind those athletes for the first part of the run. But as Morgan Pearson's come through, he's brought Kurt MacDonald with him, and this is a great race for Kurt MacDonald. Currently sitting in 5th position, was hoping for a top 10 again. If he was to finish in 5th, I think he'd be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, it would comfortably be his best T100 performance. 16th in Wollongong last year, 10th in Singapore this year. So that would mark a fantastic improvement in his T100 results. So there's an awful lot on the line, especially when you consider the race to Qatar. Athletes' 3 best scores are going to count, plus the grand final later on in the year. So plenty still to fight for these positions up and down the standings here in San Francisco.
I think we're watching Lassie Priester from the side there, and if it was, he just looks so good. He looks really, really fast. I mean, Rico Bogan here out the front of the race. He's still got a minute and a half. He's at the point where he can really start doing those mathematical calculations that I spoke about. He's going to need to.
I mean, a minute and a half, it's coming down.
It's coming down, and it's starting to come down a fair bit faster than it was previously. But if I was him, I would now start doing the maths. I'd go around this U-turn at the bottom here as he turns he'll take the bell, of course, 1 lap to go. And I'd watch where I pass Lassie Priester, and I would start doing some maths. How much time can I afford to give up per kilometre? How fast is he coming at me? And hopefully he's got someone on screen, or someone on side of the course telling him that Lassie Priest has still got a penalty to take, because to our knowledge, Lassie Priest has not taken that penalty yet.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. As like you say, it's the best of our knowledge. If he doesn't have anyone telling him that Lassie Priester does have a penalty, then he's
going to be running scared.
Yeah, putting himself further into the well here when he doesn't need to. But there you go. That is the bell. Rico Bogan is going to take the...
So I think that's the other athlete who's just in front of him. So there we go. Now. That was Benjamin Zorganotti with the 2 laps to go, and then with 1 lap to go, we've got Rico Bogan taking the bell.
That really confused me for a second.
Yeah. No, hang on. We thought we only had one to go.
I'm pleased he changed it for Rico's sake, and Rico knows that he's only got one more lap of this 4.5 kilometre course to go.
That's
all
having
that stands.
eyes on, and he can see him in the distance coming towards us. I'm pretty sure that is Lassie Priester coming towards us now. So he will know that gap's going down. You can see the tension through his shoulders. I think his cadence has gone a little bit slower. He still looks like he's holding it together really well, but Lassie Priester is charging now.
Oh, this is very exciting.
And he's done the time check as well.
A chance for Lassie to look at the watch. And he knows that he's a minute and a half away from Rico Bogan in the lead of this race. That time is tumbling down. And goodness me, if you were a betting person, I don't know where I'd put my money right now. This is fascinating stuff. I can't wait to see how this one ends up.
I know. I'm still intrigued. Hopefully we get an image of Priester going around that U-turn. I don't think he should take the penalty this lap. I think he has to keep going. If he takes the penalty now, it's done. If he keeps going, there
we go.
Oh no, Lassie! I wanted you to do it on the last lap. I wanted you to get even closer and really just put pressure on Rico.
But he can use this to recover.
He can. He's got to go an all-in 4.45 kilometres now. Absolutely everything he's got. Look, he's holding on to that bar.
It's just a park run, Lassie. It's just a park run. Come on, that's all that stands between you and a debut win on the T100. But these seconds are going to feel so slow.
So hang on, is this a 30-second penalty? Yeah,
there he goes.
There we go. Off
so
he goes.
that is the challenge at hand. We'll get an up-to-date timing split, and this will be
all in, absolutely
a run
all in now.
Right to the end, won't it? My goodness me.
There we go. I mean, he's pretty safe now in that second position. He doesn't look in any distress at all. I can't see any way that Hayden's going to close that gap on him. But it's all about what he can do now on this last lap. It is one absolutely mammoth 4.45 kilometres between him and trying to reel in Rico. And he's got to be, he's going to have to hope that Rico's starting to falter, because as good as Lassie looks and as well as he's running, I'm not sure he can bring back 2 minutes.
Let's see, as Hayden Wild looks to be running pretty well. He just takes a bit of water, splashes it over him, of course, just trying to stay cool. Pretty cool conditions here, but when you're running at these speeds, you're going to still feel pretty warm indeed. So he's sitting in third spot at the moment. I mean, just a little bit about Lassie Nygaard-Priester's career. You know, he's had 63 World Triathlon starts, 18 podiums, 8 victories. But, I mean, is it fair to say, Vicky, a day like today, if he was to finish second, I mean, goodness me, if he was to finish first, but if he was to finish second, that would be one of the biggest results of his career.
Yeah, I think so. And I think for athletes who spend their career chasing that short course circuit and going around the world and racing a lot of times a year and really trying to make that Olympic dream come true, it can be wearing, it's grating, and it's something that Jake Birtwistle spoke about, of course. Moving up to middle distance has sort of reinvigorated him. And I feel like Lassie Priester has that from the element of moving on from the short course racing, even though he's still doing some of that, but stepping up to this distance. But also from that massive health scare that he's had, that I think has given him a new perspective on life as well. And he's spoken about how he loves this sport, and while he's been told that he medically can continue and there's no reason he shouldn't, he will continue doing it. And he's just got this love for it again. And he's got a new coach. He's working with a man called Wolfram Bott now. He's living in Freiburg, and he's not traveling as much as he was previously, and he's just really enjoying day-on-day training. And I think this will be a huge result for him, no matter whether he makes it up to Rico Bogan or not.
Yeah, it certainly will. Well, if you like what you're watching and you want to give this wonderful sport of triathlon a go, you can join thousands of amateur athletes around the world joining races this year. still plenty of opportunities to race on the T100 this year. If you scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, that will take you to T100triathlon.com/participate, where you can find details of the upcoming races, Vancouver, Dubai. We've got London coming up as well, some amazing races. And there's still plenty of ways that you can get involved in 2026.
Yeah, and if that did look exciting and fun on that promo, then you're not our kind of people. Because come on, the stunning locations and the joy that people have in this sport it's kind of unlike many others. And the fact that you get to race on the same courses and in the same locations on the same day as the professional athletes, it's something that's pretty special to our sport, I think.
It definitely is. As a marshal there just jumps out the way. I think that's Blake Harris.
That is, yeah.
Just out in front. Justin Riale in yellow there, and Rico Bogan just getting a little bit of help there behind.
That's Benjamin Zorgnotti. So he was one of our late call-ups as well. He's only known for about 2 weeks, I think, maybe, that he was getting a start here. One of the withdrawals from the start list allowed him an option. He was actually having a bit of a mid-season break. He'd done a block of racing early this year and was taking a few down days, and then the call-up came and he thought, well, I can't miss that. So hopped on a flight and here he is.
He's got Rico Bogan breathing down his neck.
Is he getting a cut for pacing him into this headwind? Because, this is a really tactically astute move from Rico. Rico's on the last lap here. He's hurting. We've seen it all over his face. He knows that Lassie Priester is coming for him. I don't know if he even knew he had a penalty. And instead of charging down this headwind section on his own, he's just caught up to Benjamin Zorgnotti and he's sitting in there. And that's a very smart move, I think. He's just getting a bit of shelter from that wind.
Yeah, and it is blustery down there. I've been saying all day, it's coming. The wind is coming later on in the day. Gusts of around 15, 20 miles an hour at the moment down by the coast, but those are only going to get worse. And if they decide to come a little bit early, they're going to play havoc with our athletes out there on the course at the moment. But yeah, smart racing there from Rico at the moment. And he's not got far to go into the wind before he turns back. And it's going to give him a nice helping hand all the way to the finish.
And at that point, he will again, of course, get eyes on Lassie Priester, and he will see what that gap looks like. He'll know that it's gone out since the last time he's seen him, which means he will deduce that he's either suffering, which it doesn't look like he is, or that he's taken his penalty. And I think that will be a real boost for Rico as he heads back down the gravel path of Crissy Field towards Marina Boulevard and the finish line.
Yeah, not long to go here at all on the T100. Here in San Francisco, we've got Lassie Nygaard Priester chasing down Rico Bogan to the finish. He's taken his penalty. This really is a fight to the death. Who is going to emerge victorious?
And there we go. So not only have we got the cross, Rico Bogan knowing now that he's maintaining or even getting a bigger gap on Lassie Priester from the last time he saw him at the start of the lap, but he's also gone in front of Zorgnotti. He said, "Thank you very much for your assistance. You've helped me all the way out to that turn point, and I'll take it from here."
There you go. Very transactional friendship, it feels like. But Rico definitely making the most of what's available to him as he just lost his footing there. Goodness me, his ankle looked like it
did.
Really moved under.
And the grimace has gone up a level, hasn't it? It's gone up a notch.
Oh, that could have been nasty. And that is the perils of racing on an uneven surface like this. It's gravel surface. It's not the kindest to the athlete's underfoot.
And he does look like he's sort of fighting through every step now, doesn't he? He's so close now, Rico. You're just under 2 kilometers from the finish line, taking on some of our fuel, of course. Water bottles on offer, Morton gels on offer, Morton drink mix also on offer at the aid stations. He's taking that on board, and he's fighting his way every step to the finish line. He knows Priester looks good. He knows he's coming, but he's still got a minute and a half of a gap. That's a good gap.
We just see a replay here of Rico losing his footing on that gravel.
There we go. Just, yeah. I mean, he runs, as we said, he runs slightly on the outside of his feet anyway, on his toes. And so he's tired. He's not picking up his feet quite as well. And with that landing on the gravel, on the stones, he's just rolled over his ankle just a tiny bit there. But still moving on, still moving well. Priester's got to go like he's never gone before if he's going to rein in Rico Bogan at this point.
We're talking 100-meter finish, 100-meter sprint finish sort of speeds here. Lassie, come on.
Yeah.
If you've got it in you, now is the time to show it. He's a phenomenal runner. We know that. We've been building that up all afternoon. In fact, that just goes to show there, 14:11. He's got one of the fastest laps of anyone, up there with Morgan Pearson, up there with Hayden Wild, who, by the way, is looking pretty much as good as he's looked all day. Now he's laced up his running shoes. Brilliant stuff this from Lasse Nygaard-Priester on debut in a T100. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, to be able to come out on debut and podium at these races. We've seen a few athletes do it, of course we have, but it's so impressive, it can't be understated. These other athletes who have spent time honing their craft over this distance, the very best in the world. And he's going to beat Hayden Wild. I mean, Hayden has been beaten by so few people over this distance. And yes, we can accept that he's not at his absolute best, but right now, Priester is outrunning Hayden Wild because he's obviously taken that 30-second penalty as well. So when you factor all that in, he is running faster than our world champion. So just an incredible debut from Lasse Priester, and whether he makes it or, as it's looking, maybe not quite makes it, I think he's got to be happy with this for his performance today.
Oh my goodness me, surely. When he gets on the plane, when he closes his eyes, he's got to be mighty, mighty pleased with his performance so far. And also the man in your screen there, Morgan Pearson, really good performance from him. I don't think we were wholly sure what to expect, given he's come back from injury and wasn't obviously with us in Singapore, missed that race, and currently sitting in 4th spot. He's got a charging Jason West down behind him, but I think maybe just with the speed that Morgan has, the run pace that Morgan has, he will probably just be able to hold off the very fast Jason West as well.
There's been some position changes as well in that little group, because not that long ago we were looking at Morgan Pearson, who had sort of had Kurt McDonald latched onto him and dragged him through ahead of the other athletes in that group, and that's actually sort of reversed now. Kurt McDonald has sort of slid back through that group a little bit, not massively. He's still only 7 seconds behind Jason West in 5th, and still an absolutely brilliant performance, I think, from Kurt McDonald here. Still a really, really strong day from him, but just not able to hold on to the blistering pace of Morgan Pearson towards the end of this run.
Yeah, it just goes to show the quality of runner that Morgan Pearson is. And yeah, fantastic looking standings at the moment, but it's not over yet. And a sprint finish here, a pick up of the pace if an athlete is feeling good. Might just mean they move up a place or two. This means more money, extra points in the race to Qatar. These are critical points that ultimately will reflect prizes later on in the season.
Yeah, Rico will be delighted to take that turn, that long straight gravel section. He's completed that now. He's taken the turn and he's heading up to that final corner to get him onto the boulevard again. And when he's there, you're sort of counting down corners at this point. You compartmentalize each section of the course, and he'll say, right, I've done everything I need to do on the gravel. Right, get me up to the boulevard, get that section done. Then I turn through the transition area, get that section done. Now I'm on the finish chute. And every little section he's going to be just ticking it off in his brain and thinking, I am one step closer to raising the tape.
Yeah, he's not far away at all, is Rico Bogan, from taking the tape here in San Francisco. And not far to go. He's done this, of course, last year. He knows exactly what he has to do, exactly like you say, Vicky. He's done these corners in the lead of a T100 race.
He's done it twice.
Yeah.
And the first time was when he was sort of, him and Martin Van Riel and Kyle Smith were really just taking swings at each other all the way through these final section of the run course. It was such a great battle that day. Last year he did it all alone with the pressure of Jelle Geens breathing down his neck. Could he catch him? Was he going to reel him in on the day? And today again it was a different adversary, but it's been Lasse Priester that he's had to try and hold off, as Lassie's been charging down on him, but has of course had to take that penalty too. Fascinating to see what that time gap's going to be when we get to the end here.
Oh, I do hope it's not 30
Yes.
seconds.
Oh, that would be so brutal.
Is all I will say.
Or even close to that, because
Yeah.
you just know that that makes a different race when you're within 10 to 15 seconds at the end. Find a different gear for that.
I cannot wait to hear from Rico Bogan, Lassie Nygaard-Priester as well after the race. Find out a little bit more about what was going through their minds as they were in these final stages. Did Rico know that Lassie had a penalty? We will, I'm sure, find out with Greg Welch down later on. But this
Another
is
corner.
one of the final corners that Rico Bogan is going to have to turn here at the Sokin T100 San Francisco. You can see there fans waiting to greet our winner home. And there's not far at all to go for Rico Bogan. No
So he's
blue
onto the
carpet
grass now, yes.
here in San Francisco this year. So this is the finish shoot. This is where Rico Bogan can believe, he can recognise that he's done what's so difficult to do in the sport of triathlon. He's backed up his 2025 win with another win here in San Francisco. He's going to do the double. Rico Bogan is going to come home, take the tape and win the Sokin T100 San Francisco. The customary celebration we're used to seeing.
The bow and arrow, it seems.
It feels like a carbon copy of 2025, and in truth it kind of is. Rico winning comfortably here, and can take a lie down, because my oh my, that looked painful.
It did, and here comes Lassie Priester. You kind of feel, just watching him there, that he shut it down a little bit. He gave up such a valiant fight, didn't he? He came so close. He was really gaining on Rico, and it looked like Rico was starting to falter. But just in the last kilometre or so, he will have known that the game was up, and he is still putting in the most amazing debut performance here on the meatiest of courses on it. This journey he's on now in middle distance racing. What a result for Lassie Priester, and a German 1-2.
German 1-2. The heart attack, or the heart problems that Lassie has overcome, are nothing short of ginormous, and it's so good to see him take second spot on the T100 here in San Francisco. And that's a well-earned congratulation from German to German, who both realise that they've pushed each other to the very limits here in San Francisco.
And on a course where the run course especially was absolutely identical to last year. Rico ran 5 seconds quicker than he did last year. I mean, that's pretty good consistency right there. And Lassie Nygaard-Priester at the moment, of course, not all the athletes in yet, has ran 30 seconds quicker than the fastest run time of the 2025 edition. So
wow.
That just shows what he's been able to do today. Of course, we've still got Hayden to finish. I don't think Hayden will be quite as fast, but then we have Morgan Pearson as well. So we could see even faster times before the day is done.
Can't wait to see what Lassie does on future T100 races. If this is the sort of racing we're going to get from the German, he's welcome to come to any of these races and show up, because he has lit up this race in San Francisco. And a man we're so used to seeing light up races from the very front, Hayden Wilde, not to be today for him for the win. But I think when you consider the sort of, or the depths he's been to over the last couple of weeks, the illness that he's had to overcome, actually a third place, well, this is actually a very good result for him.
This is a really good result for someone who just 2 days ago we weren't sure whether they were going to start the race. I mean, he wasn't sure if he was even going to get on the plane to come to San Francisco. 48 hours ago, we weren't sure if he was going to take to the start line. We really didn't even know until this morning 100% that he was actually going to do the race. So to have those kind of doubts and questions over what your body was capable of or what it was ready for this close to the race, the disappointment of being at the race last week but not getting to take to the start line, overcoming all of that and putting together a podium performance that gives you great points in your ambitions for retaining your world title, I'd say that's a pretty good outcome for Hayden Wilde.
Absolutely. It's potentially as good a result as Hayden could have achieved today, and even a Hayden who's at maybe 80%, 70%, who knows, we'll find out shortly exactly how he felt in this race. But a Hayden who can do still crazy things in this sport of triathlon. What a impressive man, impressive result for him. Just goes to show what he can achieve in this sport. So Hayden Wilde comes home in third spot, a huge puff of the cheeks. And I think that one might just have been one of his toughest races of recent memory.
I think that might have taken a bit out of him. I mean, I speculated earlier as to whether he'd shut it down and just done what he needed to, but that isn't a man who's just cruised his way to the finish line. You can see him coughing away there as well. Like, he's definitely still got some of that mucus that he spoke about on his chest. So impressive from our world champion Hayden Wilde.
Yeah, you don't often see Hayden Wilde crossing the finish line and looking bent over double.
I mean, we're so used to him crossing the finish line at a canter, holding the banner above his head and then waiting for whoever else was to cross the finish line. It's a different kind of Hayden finish there today, but I would not be surprised if he is intensely relieved that he's got this job done today. And it may not have been his best race, but it absolutely is a case of job done.
Yeah. Highest men's winning margin in Singapore for Hayden Wilde. 6 minutes 20 he finished ahead of Sam Dickinson. So
we've just got a run update as well, and he actually did run faster than Priester, but of course Priester had a penalty. So when you take into account Priester's penalty, Priester's still the quickest, but currently 58.44 run time for Hayden Wilde. So that's blisteringly fast for someone who's not well.
And also a brilliant performance here from Morgan Pearson. Crosses the line, finishes fourth. That's a huge improvement on where he finished last year on debut on the T100. It was 8th last year. It's really good to see him making strides. Same with Jason West as well. Another really good performance from him. He will come home to finish 5th.
Jake Birtwhistle's going to get another 6th place. That's consistent placing from him. 2 6th places to start his 2026 T100 series.
Yeah, there he comes, Jake Birtwhistle coming over the finish line. He is going to say, he's going to take, like you say, Vicky, 6th spot, and equals his best T100 result. Quite hard to, well, there you go. He's got 3 17th places and 2 6th places. Couldn't write it if you tried. Kurt MacDonald.
Lovely smile on the face of Kurt MacDonald. Yeah. Through the pain, there is joy. I'm sure he can appreciate what he's done there today. He's put himself firmly in the mix from start to finish. I think that's just a brilliant performance from him. And again, just solidifies his place in this series and that he belongs here, and we will be seeing him at future T100 races too.
Yeah, best ever T100 result for Kurt MacDonald, the 27-year-old Australian. And that is the unmistakable race suit of Henry Rappo. All in pink, and he is going to come home for 8th.
And I wait for his update afterwards as to whether there was an easy minute in that run today or an enjoyable minute in that run, unlike in Singapore. Hopefully he found a bit of a rhythm out there today. But yeah, another strong race from him too.
Yeah, second best T100 result for the Estonian.
On my run checks that I've been doing, we've had, of course, Morgan Pearson and Jason West across the line now, and they were the 2 fastest runners of the day. Just 2 seconds separating their run splits. 58.15 from Pearson. Now, he was one of our fastest runners last year, and last year he ran, I think, just under the 1 hour mark. So that's a massive improvement from him.
That is Gregor Payet. He is coming home to finish in 9th. And that also equals his best ever result that he got in Singapore just a few weeks ago. Another very decent top 10 for him. This is the good bit, isn't it, Vicky? The sort of post-race debrief that happens between the athletes. Trying to find out what happened to all of those athletes. And this is a really important finish line, I feel like, for Leo Berger. He's had such a tough year, maybe year and a half in the sport of triathlon. Injuries. He's had a tumour on his spine, and that is him coming home to round out the top 10.
Yeah, you gotta hope that this just signals Leo's return and just is the first point of that, and that we will just see so much more from him as he returns to full health and full fitness, full speed. But just getting back to a start line for him, I think, was so important and was a bit of a win just to be able to take to that start line today.
Absolutely. Don't forget a couple of weeks of running, all that was in the legs of Leo Berger. So you would think that's not quite enough to race with the world's very best on the T100.
I mean, it wasn't quite enough, if we're honest. I think the fact that he faded a little bit on that run was understandable, expected, and again, just shows the level of the athletes that we do have.
So Will Draper just able to overtake Yannick Schauffele there, I think in the final few stages. Very decent sprint finish from him. All right, let's get some reaction, shall we, from down on the ground. Greg is with our winner, Rico Bogan. Over to you, Greg.
A little away from Jay Schauffele. 3:27 on the clock here in San Francisco. A picture-perfect day for racing. Here for our Sokin T100.
All right, now standing by with Rico Bogan down here at the finish line. Rico, what an incredible race today.
Yeah, thank you. I thought this is my course, so I had to do it twice. So great to be back on the podium or to get a win here.
Yeah, you say it's your course. I mean, I look back in the last couple of years, you've had great results here, all podium positions, but you repeated as champion. You said it's your course, you get out there on the bike ride, and you really have to make a gutsy move to set yourself up for the run.
Yeah, I went all out on the bike because also Lasse Priester stayed long with me, and he's a great runner, so I had to push really deep on the bike. I thought, yeah, maybe I'm destroying myself. I pushed even harder than last year. And then, yeah, but I had good run legs, so the first two laps were quite good. I could hold the gap to Lasse. And then, yeah, the last lap was quite tough. My legs were completely destroyed, but yeah, I could hold it and super happy with the win.
Did you have any idea that he had a penalty out there? He had a cap, swim cap come off and it was outside the box?
Yeah, I heard it on the third lap that he had penalty, and then I thought, yeah, I have the 1 minute 30 gap, and then he had 30 seconds penalty, so I think the gap is big enough, yeah.
When you're riding so hard, Rico, you know, it's a pretty gutsy move that you have to lay it all on the line there. Risk as opposed to reward out there. Did you know that riding as hard as you possibly could that you would have the run legs?
Yeah, it's a little bit risky, but I hope for a good run leg. So, but on a bike, I thought, yeah, my legs are really tired already. But yeah, running is a different kind of muscular, so I had good run legs, and it was good that I could hold it. Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking good in the race to Qatar right now, picking up 35 points today, and a good solid prize check as well, 50K.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm happy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're happy. All right, mate, we'll leave it there, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, good to get the thoughts of Rico Bogan. Emerges he did know that he had a penalty.
He did.
That Lasse had a
yeah.
penalty. So, yeah, he would have expected then that 30 seconds just to go up. But what a day for Rico Bogan.
Yeah, I think understatement of his interview there was that he had quite good legs. I think that was proven today, Rico Bogan. Not only did you have good legs on the bike, you had really strong run legs, as I said, a little bit faster even than he was last year out on the run course, doing it in such a similar fashion. A little bit of a stumble even couldn't stop him from taking the high fives down the finish chute. And the elation of his second T100 victory. What a smile. What a moment.
Yeah. Biggest smile in triathlon, I would say.
Right now, for
right
sure.
Right now, for sure.
Definitely.
On the face of Rico Bogan. So, yeah. Excellent day for him. Someone else who also had an excellent day. His fellow compatriot, Lasse Nygaard-Priester. The German is down with Greg.
Yeah. All right, we got our second place finisher right now. Here is Lasse Nygaard-Priester. Lasse, you had that penalty out there on the bike ride, but you still hung in there for that second place.
Yeah, I think I had a penalty in T2 for not putting the socks and leaving them out of the box. I recognized actually 200 meters later, but Yeah, I think that was happening once now. In general, I'm very happy with the race, especially the bike. Yeah, I did everything I wanted. I really tried to not to hide and go for it. Yeah, almost a little unreal. I think 2 Olympic medalists behind, and at a point I was also looking behind and realizing the gap is getting bigger. So yeah, starting the run, I felt quite in control for second place, and I hope to get in touch to Rico at a point, but then also with the penalty and also with such a tough bike course, I think the 2 hours was really one of my best. I mean, I never biked that hard, and that was also really a different and new experience. So a little I felt like my run is not where it has been this year. But yeah, also the whole race from the start to the end was quite on, and yeah, I hope to improve a little from here on.
Yeah, you should improve a little for sure. I mean, you've got to get up there on the top spot right now. Now, as you said, it was a pretty stacked field there. Very good up front. You know, Leo Berger, Hayden Wilde, as you mentioned, the Olympic medalists out there. But Rico Bogan on this course is always going to be tough. Did you have in mind that you were going to chase him on the bike and stay as close as you could?
Yeah, I mean, I had the experience from Aix-en-Provence where we raced each other in a 70.3. And yeah, I realized I mean, it's not a surprise, he's a little faster on the downhill. And I managed to catch up again and again in the flat. But I think also I burned some matches there because then in the I think second or third lap in the uphill, the gap became a little too big, and then when it's going into the downhill again, the gap was too big, and I realized, okay, this not, now it's becoming difficult. But I mean, I think from there on I almost rode 1 hour 20 solo, and I don't know, the gap was in the end 2:30. For me, that's an improvement. I think Rico's one of the best in the sport on the bike, and yeah, I'm happy about my race.
So what do you think about the Sokin T100 San Francisco course? You escaped from the rock.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I escaped 1 second and then my goggles went off. But yeah, I managed to stay in, I think, in the top 5 or whatever it was, and with a good transition. I mean, that was mainly what it was about. But very, very amazing scenery and something special going there on the bus in the morning. I was really thinking, what the fuck are we doing here? It's dark, it's you, everyone sitting there in the bus. You feel the nerves, the tension. But yeah, really, really great experience, and I'm very thankful for that.
Apologise for the colourful language, but anybody who escapes from Alcatraz is a winner in my book. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry about the slightly fruity language there from Lasse Nygaard Priester. We apologise about that, but yeah, fascinating to get his thoughts after this race, Vicky, and hear him sort of go through the trials and tribulations of a T100 race.
Yeah, I mean, it just has everything, doesn't it? You know, goggles. I think he was suggesting they filled up as he dived in, and it's, I guess, what we were talking about earlier. It's such a risk when you're diving off something that's actually quite high. There's not a huge amount you can do to have them really tight, you have them tucked under your hat, but things still happen like that. You know, there's things you've got to face. But he spoke about how the bike, that was an improvement for him on anything that he'd done before, stayed with Rico for a lot of the bike, or a lot of the early section of the bike, using the hill strength that he's got to try and catch back up to Rico when Rico would get away from him on the downhills, and rode a huge amount of it solo, and he did. He held on really, really well. Just a really, really solo journey for him today, and to finish it off as strongly as he did, I think he should be incredibly pleased.
Yeah, burnt some matches.
That was it, yes.
It sounded like on the bike leg. But again, it just goes to show how fast Rico Bogan is on the bike, and just what he put down and was able to show Lasse how it's done.
Oh, he truly is an Uber biker, Rico, one of the absolute best in our sport. So, you know, saying that he hopes to improve, not a huge amount to improve on for Lasse Priester there, really,
no.
is there?
Don't think there is. Not on debut anyway. All right, let's get the thoughts of our final podium sitter. Hayden Wilde is with Greg.
Standing by right now with Hayden Wild in third place today, mate. Your T100 record speaks for itself. You know, lots of wins out there, but Tokyo 2020 was an Olympic bronze medal, but today you're going to have to settle for that bronze here.
Yeah, it was a tough day out there. Yeah, just battling all day. But honestly, to be fair, for respect to Rico, I think even on a good day, it would have been damn hard to beat him today. He was, he was pushing it up there in the front, and I just couldn't. There was not much I could do out there, and the only thing I could really do is just be smart and just get as super aero as possible, because I just wasn't pushing the power I wanted to, and yeah, actually like turned around and had a good run, but oh man, the whole day was just sufferfest.
A little bit rough. I do love your bike position, mate. I think that, Hayden, you have got one of the best bike positions out there. Rico looks good for a big guy. You're, standing at about 5'8", 5'9". You look great on your bike as well. But let's just go back a couple of weeks ago. You had a little bit of a virus illness. You spent 5 straight days in bed. You couldn't race Alcatraz World Championship Triathlon Series, but you bounced back to come here today, and you knew that you weren't going to be on full power.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I was in great form heading into the 2 weekend races, and yeah, it is what it is, and it's just how you kind of bounce back and get into it. And yeah, I wanted to come respect the race, and I know that if I didn't turn up, it was going to be hard to defend the title. So honestly, I'm actually pretty happy with the podium. I wasn't expecting too much today, and it puts me in a good position heading into the grand final, and I can't complain about that. So yeah, go home, sit down with my coaches, reassess, and get ready for the next World Series.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter too much for you, mate. Go home and get a good rest, and get yourself healthy. Look, Hayden's we know Hayden is only in first place, really, but today face a little bit of adversity, get well and get back into it, mate. We wish you best of luck down the road there. First place in Singapore, third place in the Sokin T100 San Francisco. Just get well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. See you in the next one.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So third place for Hayden Wild here at the Sokin T100 San Francisco. And the truth is, I think it was just a Hayden who slightly was off what we're used to seeing, certainly perhaps the Hayden that we saw in Singapore.
Yeah, definitely a few % off today. I mean, coughing his guts up across the line pretty much there. And he, even in the interview, you could hear his voice. It's still raspy, isn't it? His throat doesn't sound quite right. So definitely not 100%. So what a battler to get through to that podium again today.
I think it still begs the question with Hayden, doesn't it? How he balances his short course ambitions, Olympic ambitions with the T100. It's yet to be done, isn't it? It's yet to be proven that you can balance them. And he tried last year. I know he had the mitigating circumstances of the injury, but it's yet to be done.
It is. So far, we've not quite seen anyone do both brilliantly at the same time. I firmly believe that racing in the T100 complements your short course career, and it might mean that you need to step away a little bit and specialise at some point, but I just think that all this racing he's doing in the T100 just means he's going to be a stronger athlete overall. Yeah,
it's definitely a very specific type of training that you need to do for both short course and T100. But if you can get them to work together, as many athletes are trying to do, it can obviously be hugely beneficial to you. All right, well, let's take a look back at some of the highlights from the Sokin T100 San Francisco and the unmistakable sight of 20 athletes diving off the San Francisco Spirit into the bay here in San Francisco.
Yeah, lost lots of the swim caps, but a fast current-assisted swim, and it was, of course, Morgan Pearson that led out the swim again. He's become quite the expert at taking the right line into shore and, of course, lightning fast through this long 700-metre transition area. He was first out onto the bike. A little bit of a stumble there, actually getting onto the bike. We saw Hayden Wild making up about a minute deficit that he started the bike with to the main pack to try and get himself as close to the front as possible, but it was Rico Bogan who once again dominated this bike course as he did 12 months ago, and after some company early on with Lassie Priester, broke away solo. And this was the main chase pack, if you like, on the road, the likes of Leo Berger and Hayden Wild. Rico Bogan heading into transition at 2 all alone and out onto the run course with around about a 3-minute lead. 2.5 minutes back it was, I think, to Lasse Priester, who unfortunately had that 30-second penalty as well. But it wasn't to be for Lasse Priester. Despite his best efforts, it was Rico Bogan who once again took the tape here in San Francisco.
We will never know, will we? If he hadn't have got the penalty, just maybe, just
maybe,
he might have been able to catch Rico Bogan. But let's take a look.
We'll have to come back next year and have another go.
See you then. All right, let's take a look at the full results then. Rico Bogan, confirmation of his win and the fastest bike leg of anyone. It's then Priester in second, an amazing T100 debut for him. Hayden Wild or rounds out the podium, I should say. Morgan Pearson in fourth. Jason West in fifth, Jake Birtwistle in sixth, Kurt McDonald seventh, Henry Rappo in eighth, Gregor Payet in ninth, and then Leo Berger. Really good to see him back on a T100 start list with the fastest swim of anyone. He finished in 10th spot. So that is the top 10, and someone who had a really impressive result here in San Francisco is Morgan Pearson. Improves on his result from last year. Let's get the thoughts of him now with Greg.
The run there is completely flat. Yeah. Alrighty, so we got Morgan Pearson now, the top US athlete coming in across the finish line today. Morgan started out with a great swim out there. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of a crazy swim. It's just, you're getting knocked around a little bit. It's been, we run along the whatever every day, kind of check it out, and it looked calm on the boat, and then it was surprising how wavy, and I was running into guys. I was running into Schumann, Berger, but I found myself in second and third, and I just was trying to relax. Like, it's a long day, so I didn't really want to lead. I wanted to conserve energy, and yeah, second and third's perfect.
Yeah, it's a big bay out there, a very deep bay as well. We got wind on it as well, and a lot of boat traffic. So, yeah, well done in the swim there. But getting out onto the bike ride here today, you went out in first place. How did that all go for you?
Yeah, I like to try to be near the front, getting onto the bike. My goal was to be near, as close to the front at the top of the first hill as possible. I think I got there like second or third. But Rico was just, honestly, Rico was just too strong on like the gradual uphills and the gradual downhills when you're still in aero. And that's where I really lost most of my time on the bike. So he was just so strong. And then, yeah, the rest, I didn't have a great bike, but that first goal to get out well and be near the front, so to avoid some of the craziness, I accomplished that. So
yeah. So being as good a runner as you are, how do you keep focused and how do you stay, mentally with it when you know that the race lead is getting away from you? And did you think that you could come back for a podium?
I mean, Hayden seemed a little bit off, so I thought maybe if he had like a really rough run or something, I could potentially get top 3. But he didn't. He ran well. Like I don't know exactly what he ran, but he seemed fine. I'm sure he's a little disappointed with it, but yeah, I lost too much time on the bike. But honestly, this is my first race of the year. I had some adductor injury in the winter spring, and not to make excuses or anything, but I've really only been on the time trial bike for a few weeks, so I'm pretty happy with how I kind of managed the bike course. I was trying to kind of move up on the uphill because I was able to ride my road bike. So I had the fitness, but it's just getting into the TT position and just powering, like especially like the gradual uphills, or like getting back up to speed on the gradual downhills. I just felt like I was losing time and contact with some of those guys, and then I would just lose contact and then try to chase up the hill, but there's only so much you can do on like a 3-4 minute hill. So I'm happy with 4th place, like first race of the year, coming off not an awful winter, but not my best. And honestly, even the run I was really happy with. I mean, I thought that my run was also affected by the injury. So I'm just to have that fastest run, and I mean, Jason kept me honest. I was looking forward to kind of like not jogging it in, but you know, I'm going to race next week and just kind of conserving. But a few people are like, Jason's closing on you the last lap, so I had to stay on it. And yeah, it was a good day overall. Like first race of the season and amazing competition. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nice warm down. Finally, you have some local ties to the area. Interviewed your buddy Adam from high school. That was a lot of fun, and you had plenty of support out here.
Yeah. Adam's he's a really good friend, and he's also a big triathlon fan. So it's just an awesome guy to come out here. And then my younger brother Parker has lived out here for a little bit now in the startup game. So yeah, these some smart guys to come here to support me, support the athlete.
All right, Morgan, congratulations, mate, on a great race today, and good luck next week and for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you around.
Well, there he is, coming over the finish line. 4th spot for Morgan Pearson. I think in truth, actually, that battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, that was such an interesting part of this race. And Morgan Pearson, the best of the rest, as it were.
Yeah, it was really close. A lot of position shuffles late on, and you can see in the background, of course, Jason West coming in behind him, and those two ended up super close on the day.
Well, let's take a look at where this leaves us in the race to Qatar. Of course, all across the season, athletes competing, trying to get points on the board, trying to top them up in order to go into Qatar in the best possible shape. No surprise then to see Hayden Wild still at the top on 61 points. Jake Birtwistle in second on 36, and Rico Bogan there making his T100 debut this year, giving him the full 35 points. Really impressive debut, of course, from Lasse Nygaard Priester. He's on 29 points, and Sam Dickinson in 5th on 29 points as well. And just goes to show how important those final few places are, with the likes of Kurt McDonald on 27 points, Mika Newt on 26, of course, not able to race with us this week, sadly suffering from a bit of illness. We wish him well. Gregor Pyer in 8th on 24. Morgan Pearson just into the top 10 with 23 points, and Mena Koolhaas not here in San Francisco. He is on 23 points. And of course, all that means is that they will be in with the best possible chance of winning the race to Qatar.
History waits at the finish line.
There's everything to play for.
So plenty of racing to go between now and when, of course, we get to Qatar in the middle of December. And Vicky, next up for the T100, we're of course going to Vancouver for the women, but it's the French Riviera for the men, which is our next race. And I think we might see a few of our stars of this race down on the French Riviera.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's almost a given that we're going to see Lasse Priester back, and we're going to see Rico Bogan back. I'm not sure about Hayden Wild. I think he's hoping to miss that one and come back in for the later season races. But we've also got the likes, of course, of someone like Samuel Dickinson and Mika Newt. Both of them have podium results already from the series in Singapore, but both missing from this race for different reasons. We've got Sam Dickinson with a bit of an injury problem, and we've got Mika Newt with illness. Of course, we have Mathis Marjuillet, who finished in Singapore but pulled up with that heel problem. So all of these guys, I think, are going to be back in the mix, back in the racing come the French Riviera.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. As I mentioned, though, that's what's next up for the men. But for the women, they're heading to Vancouver, and what a race we were treated to last year. So Taylor Knibb with the win in Vancouver. Vicky, today though belonged to Rico Bogan.
It did. Once again, Rico Bogan is the king of San Francisco. Phenomenal all-round performance, backing up from last year. What a day.
Well, thank you, Vicky. Thanks for your company at home. We're going to see you on the 15th of August in Vancouver. But from all of us here on the T100 in San Francisco, it's bye for now.